Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Game Informer Show. I'm your host, Ben Hansen, joined by Andrew Reiner at the end of the table.
Hey, how you doing, Ben Hansen?
Doing good. We got a good batch, good crew, good show. We got good Dan Tack.
Andrew's touching my ear. I don't know what that was about.
There we go. Dan Tacky Dothraki. Then we got Ben Reeves.
Wait a minute, where's JV? I thought he was always on this podcast.
He'll be around.
He'll be around?
No, he won't.
In our hearts.
That's right. So we got a hell of a show. There's a couple big games that we got to talk about that came out this week, you guys.
I like big games.
We're talking about Dark Souls 3, that little ditty.
That's a small game.
We got Quantum Break.
Oh, man.
It's about time.
Oh, it's time to break that.
We got Mibleheim.
Mumbler?
What?
That's MLB 2016. Here we go. Yeah, talking some baseball with Game Informer's
Crack of the bat.
The Roar of the Crowd. That's right, folks. Baseball's back.
Is it?
Starcraft II DLC stuff with Dan Tack. Touching on that. And 1,000 other things. Got a feedback section. And then tail end of this show, we have somebody that I wanted to talk to forever on this podcast. And I couldn't find the contact information.
Pauly Shore?
Pauly Shore, everybody.
Oh, my gosh, finally.
Welcome
Is
to
it
the
really
new
Pauly
home of the
Shore?
90s. No, it's not Pauly Shore.
Oh, that's too bad.
We have Aaron Bleyaert, Aaron Blair,
Aaron Bleyaert?
who you might know better as the guy that sits next to Conan during the Clueless Gamer segments.
Yes.
You know the guy with the silver hair that always knows
He's
like
awesome.
a sufficient amount about
Yeah.
games?
Kind of the guy he always makes fun of, though.
Yes.
He's kind of like Conan's Kyle.
That's it. So Kyle joins me in that interview segment.
Savage.
Perfect. Yeah.
And we talk all about just the research he does before those segments, how they line those up, what he wants to do in the future, kind of the highlights. We run down some of the best jokes that have been on those segments, why Conan is so obsessed with butts. And so he's sitting in a car
isn't?
during that interview.
That is fascinating.
Talking to us.
I want to go watch it right now.
Is he really?
And he also refers to himself as Elvis. So watch that interview. You'll learn
Say
all
no
about
more.
it.
I'm ready.
I'm
That's
ready
it.
to watch it right now. Can
It's
I
a
leave
fun
and go
chat.
watch it? All right, cool.
Hey, we should talk about what happened this week. It's a big thing.
Is it?
There's a
New
lot of
Game
big
Informer
things.
cover.
Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh.
It's like
Do we do that?
it's almost like we
Actually,
do this every
I'm
month.
excited about this because it's not often that we have a Japanese game on the cover.
Yes, it's always a real thrill.
It sure is.
Final Fantasy 15, everybody,
Yep.
is the cover of Game Informer. We
That's
talked
it.
about it last week, and boy, are we going to be talking about it a lot in the future.
And I can't wait to.
It was an amazing trip. Kim and Joe and I were out in Japan for almost a week. We had 5 days within
Unbelievable
Square.
access.
It
Yes.
is amazing access. I think it's on the level of like our Destiny the Taken King, probably above and beyond that.
Yeah, go into how much we saw and how much time we had there. I mean, it's crazy who you guys talked to.
It is, yes. So we talked to basically all the leads of Final Fantasy. Got to meet some legendary folks, Amano, Katase. It's a great, great story that you can read about in Game Informer's new issue. Or stay tuned because next week on the Game Informer show, where Kim and Joe and I are going to break down the coolest things we saw, what it's like, what our read is on that studio. We have a lot to talk about.
Wow.
That's
So-
awesome. I was talking to Joe. He said it was one of the hardest cover stories he's ever had to write, actually.
Oh, really?
Partially because the access you got was super extensive, and then also because it's just kind of the history of that franchise is a little turbulent, but
Yeah?
I thought it was actually a really good cover story.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You
And-
guys should check it out.
All right, I'll check it out.
My favorite cover we've done since BioShock Infinite.
What
And
Andy
it is
calls
such a different piece, but I love that it's illustrated. And once you know the actual story, the plot of Final Fantasy 15, that cover art actually makes a lot of sense. Like
Yeah.
there's a message there, which is very cool. And I don't know, I think it's a work of art.
And Andy calls it the F Your Couch cover.
Yes,
so that
of
might be
course.
the legacy moving forward is that one couch cover. But I also love how bizarre it is. Like we saw
I love it.
a mocked up version at the studio and all of us were like, yep, that's weird. Let's do that. We like couches.
That is cool.
But we have a lot to talk about next week on the show about Final Fantasy 15. But for now,
right.
Reeves, quickly, Banner Saga 2 is also in that Game Informer issue that's coming out this week.
It was another kind of exclusive we got. Well,
Yeah.
not kind of. It is an exclusive we got. I got to play Banner Saga 2 for up through like the 11th chapter, which is pretty far into the game.
Okay.
And
Chapter 11.
It's really
It's
fun.
like really far.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys. Well, you guys have
I'm
both
comparing
played.
it to the first one. Yeah,
uh,
that's a.
And if you haven't played Banner Saga is like way more story based than I kind of forgot about. So I was like kind of excited. Like, all right, I'm going to sit down and like play some new strategy battles, and I'm excited for the new enemies they put in the game and the new class. And
Finally, you get to play a strategy game.
finally, and and it takes actually a long time before you get into that first battle. And then I'm like, oh yeah, it's Banner Saga. It's like very story based and actually
Choice driven too.
choice driven, like that. Every choice you make affects the narrative, and brutal choices sometimes too, where you'll lose characters and stuff like outside of battle. Yeah, once you get into that mindset, though, it's like really fun. I think the story is really well written and gorgeous looking game. Like the art style is amazing. Kind of Snow White
when can we play?
inspired. If that makes sense.
Is it following the video game trajectory of like improving upon the successor? Is it going to be a better game than Banner Saga 1 based on your impressions?
Yeah, I think so. I think they've improved it in almost every arena. So the combat, a lot of people bagged on it because you're fighting the same enemies over and over again in the first game.
Mm-hmm.
They've added a whole new class of Horseborn, which are
Horseborn?
basically
Think
centaurs.
about that.
Forget,
No, think about
just
that.
thought
forget
about it.
Dragonborn. The real sweet money's on Horseborn.
So they're basically centaurs, right?
Okay.
But if you move them in battle, like that affects how much damage they do. So if they move further
Like a charge.
and then attack, they do more damage. Kind of like they're charging into battles. That makes sense?
Oh, it's like a charge.
yeah, like a charge.
Okay.
And they can also pin people with their spears, or they cause bleed damage because their spears are.
So
poisoned.
horsemen are the highlight of Banner Saga 2.
Well, that's like a new race class, right?
Right.
So that's like one big new thing. But there's also other new enemies. Like there's a bear that I fought at one point, and I was able to actually capture a bear. I know you guys are laughing, but it was actually really cool. It was a cool battle because bears, you kill them once and then they get back up, and they're kind of terrifying.
Oh, good.
Well, you guys are acting like this is like
Bears are pretty
whatever,
scary.
this is
I will agree with
ridiculous.
that. Bears are pretty scary.
But Tack has a good question. When is this thing coming out?
Yeah.
What's it coming out for?
Good question,
Isn't it?
Attack.
I thought it was.
It's coming out on PC and consoles as well, and the date is totally escaping me.
2016?
Yeah, this year.
It's very soon, actually, right?
I want to say June.
It's probably out right now.
But it's
Run,
it's
don't walk.
coming out really soon, and then the console version is coming out later this summer.
Gotcha. Well, something that
So you won't have to wait 2 years. That was the thing; you had to wait 2 years before you could play it on console.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The first one,
It just
Okay.
came out on console.
the first one just came
earlier
out.
this year, right?
but now they've
Holy
done
cow.
all this work to basically build up the engine so it supports consoles, and so it's way easier to transfer now.
Cool.
Is my understanding. So I interviewed the team, and we got a 6-page feature.
6
on the development
pages?
of that game.
That's a lot of
Holy
pages.
Lord, check it out, everybody.
And it's a really good looking art.
There we go.
Half the article is him trying to describe a charge move.
That's right.
And then
He's
the
Horseborn, man.
horsey, and
I'll
then
tell
the
you.
bear,
He like
and then
rears
the...
up.
Like charge.
I don't know how to explain it. Hey, we should talk about Dark Souls 3, Dan.
Oh,
Tack.
do you want to talk about
Quit
that
beating
game?
around this bush.
We're beating around a bush?
Tell
Wait,
me
is there a bush boss?
how good
No.
Dark Souls 3
There's
is.
a tree, though. It's very good. It's excellent.
Wait, there is a tree boss?
Yeah.
Okay, give me, let's right out of the
beard?
gate.
End of story.
Yeah, right out of the gate, I want the number you assigned this for review and where it ranks within the Bloodborne, Dark Souls, Demon Souls family.
We ended up giving it a 9.25.
Okay.
I think it's an excellent game. If you like Dark Souls, you will love it. I don't know if it moved the series forward in any directions, but it doesn't really have to. It's got some of the best environments in the series, some of the best bosses in the series, some big highlights.
Okay.
It's really an incredible game. An incredible
You sound
play.
so enthusiastic about it, Dan.
I'm just trying to, examine it calmly.
Give me that ranking, man.
Yeah, come on.
So Dark Souls 1 is the best.
I think Bloodborne is the best. Is my favorite game actually of
And then-
the of
and
the
then Dark
Souls
Souls 1?
games. Then Dark Souls 1,
Then 2 or 3.
Or Demon Souls.
then 3, then Demons, and then Dark Souls 2.
Oh, Dark Souls 2
Interesting.
is the
Wow.
weakest.
So you knew so much about Dark Souls 3 going in. We did the cover
I did.
story. We talked about it on this podcast a long time ago. I want to know what surprised you.
Certainly, I enjoyed the way that they did the difficulty ramp in this game. It's much different than the other games. It doesn't start out hard; it starts off easy, and then it gets much harder than the other games have been if you do the optional content at the end.
But it starts out easier than all the other games.
Right. So it's a better ramp. It's a better curve. It doesn't just start off in your face. It's like, okay, let's ease you into the death.
So it's a curve like Everest is a curve, where technically, it starts out base hills and then it's going to become insane.
It certainly gets to the same difficulty of the other games. It is not lacking in difficulty. It may be the hardest if you're doing all the content.
The impression I get from the way people are talking about it is that it is the hardest.
It's very possible. It's always difficult to gauge that as someone who's played the games because your first game, no matter which one it is, will be the hardest
Right.
because you get the mechanics down. But after that, the next game will be significantly easier just because you understand, if I swing, I lose stam and open myself up. And then,
It's like the
get
new
crushed.
battle stances. That's a cool addition.
They're very cool. The battle arts are cool, but they don't really substantially change the game.
Okay.
They're really cool additions that let you play around with mana if you're a melee user, but they don't really blow the doors off the model, right?
It didn't change the Souls formula. Reiner, I'm curious. We're doing a Chronicle series
Yep,
where we're posting all these. You guys have been playing through a ton. You like the Dark Souls games. How does this
I
one
love
strike
those
you?
games. You know, the one thing I'll say, just looking at all these games, there's what, 5 of them now.
If you
guess.
count
Souls
Bloodborne, which we should.
What about Slashy Souls? Where's that in the?
I do not count that one.
Okay.
There's still a magic to this series whenever you enter a new environment of just this awe that kind of washes over you when you're just sitting there, just like, this looks beautiful. It looks familiar now. Like,
Sure.
okay, it's another swamp or another kind of weird Victorian like city. Like
Sure.
you've been in these places before.
Sure.
But when you see that first monster there, and their monster designs are so good and just so dynamic that you're just like, wow, how do they keep surprising me? So yes, it's more Dark Souls. It does feel like a well-worn glove when you pick it up and play it. The techniques you've used in the past are still going to work. The way you configure your character is still going to work, but just their artists being able to deliver over and over and over, and just not knowing what to anticipate from those enemies or even how they're going to move sometimes.
Well, you talk about anticipation. I hear a lot of people talking about how samey it is, how it seems fan servicey.
Well, I
in
said
terms
that.
Of
Do you hear a lot of
okay,
people talking about that? Because I haven't heard it outside of me, really.
Well, you
And that's because
then
there are
your minions.
There are a lot of different because of without getting into spoilers, a lot of this calls back to the older games in very big ways. So in some aspects, and it feels very. There are some of the same faces, some of the same characters,
Same areas.
some of the same areas.
Does it feel homagey or cheap? What are we?
I thought for the most part it felt homagey and very well done because this is the same universe, right?
Right,
There's no
sure.
doubt about it. So obviously you'd expect to see some of that stuff, but I think it did get a little bit excessive with it to a point.
Or it's like, hey, remember this dragon? Remember this bridge? Remember this run?
No, the
Remember
dragons
this?
and the bridges. That's whatever. That's in every game. That's like
Okay. I'm
done
that's
with
like
dragons and bridges,
Miyazaki's
man.
signature flourish. Okay, like when you. But they just at the end, with all the faces you see and some of the places you go and fights you have, ended up feeling just a little bit fan servicey, but it wasn't a huge issue.
But there's enough new stuff in there.
Oh sure, like it's a very at this point it's almost a formula, but it's a well done and continues to surprise me. So,
All right, so you spent a lot of time with this game. Do you have any good starting tips for people that have played previous games, that things they should focus on this time?
The people who have played the previous games don't really need any tips. They already know the deal, right?
Oh, they're cool.
I'd say thankfully since this does have an easier start, you'll be all right. Play the warrior, play the knight. Don't try to get cute your first playthrough. Just put your stats in health and endurance and vitality.
Okay.
Get to take a hit, deliver a hit.
Ryan,
Don't
aren't you a
get
magic
cute.
guy?
Yeah, I tried that. Yeah, tack seriously won't let that go.
Oh, really?
Playing
I won't let
sorcerer.
it go. I wasn't the one that called you out for
It's
it.
still in the game. It's a class in the
Do
game.
people think it's cheap or what?
Yeah, they're
Because
like, oh, that's the easiest way
As
to
a
play.
caster, you can stay very, very far away from the things that kill you and kill them pretty easily.
Isn't that
But
fun?
you're not killing enemies in 2 hits either. Those
No.
things can come at you.
Some of the spells in this game are pretty incredible, and
Yeah?
I like the way that they did it. They hit a lot of stuff. More secrets in this game probably than any other Souls game.
Dan, I have an interesting question.
Sure.
I started with
can't
Dark
wait for
Souls
this.
2,
Yes.
right? And I played Bloodborne. I liked them both. Should I play this game or should I go back and play the first Dark Souls?
You should
It
play
seems
this
like
game.
You're a big fan of the first one.
I am, and I think the first one has lots of really great stuff going for it. This one just they take the lessons from 1, 2, and Bloodborne, roll them all up into a burrito, and make
Well,
it
I
a
like
delicious death
burritos.
burrito. Yeah, it's great.
Okay. Oh wait, it's got Ebola in it.
So you're
Is that what
no
you're
Ebola. Just you died.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Is it going to be enough to calm down those Dark Souls 2 people who really hated that game?
I actually have something to say to those people.
Yeah, and it goes a
Whoa.
little something like this, y'all.
What camera does he look at?
There is a ton of stuff in this game that was people got really upset with Dark Souls 2. That's all here. I can't wait for you to say nothing about it in this game and just wash it off because hey, Miyazaki was on this one. So
So it's the thing where Miyazaki even
Oh.
looked at it, even if he wasn't as involved in 2, but he's such a control freak. He was involved in 2. But he still
some
looks at it and
capacity,
says, like,
was not the director on the game.
correct. But he's still like, hey, there are good design decisions in Dark Souls 2, carrying them forward.
There is plenty of design stuff from 2 in 3.
What kind of stuff?
So certainly one of the things that people had a huge issue with, or some people had a huge issue with, is like, oh my gosh, too many of the same humanoid bosses, dudes with armor, dudes with swords. Well, get ready. There's plenty of those. I want to hear about it too because there's lots of them in 3, and they're good. They're well designed.
Seems
but
like
they were
you're
in 2 as
angry
well.
because you gave Dark Souls 2 a 9.75 and everyone gave you crap.
No, not everyone.
Oh,
this
okay.
is the Souls community.
Sure.
Okay, it's definitely a 975 game, but
Yeah.
within the Souls community, which is always like, oh god, Dark Souls 2, just Team B,
Yeah.
garbage game. It's like, no, you're insane.
It's like they went in wanting to hate that game. Is that what you think?
People,
Just 'cause they knew Miyazaki
the
wasn't on it?
expectations were too insanely high based on 1. And I think 2 is a great game. It improves on some of the first game, like in some respects. But
It's like
Loved
when
it.
BioShock 2 came out.
there and then like
Yeah.
there were too many bonfires and teleporting between bonfires. That's all here. There's one point in the game where you can see a bonfire from another bonfire and walk between the two.
Yeah.
Like just down a path, okay? It's not like a secret. It's
So
just walking from point
So
A
it
to
sounds
point
too
B.
easy.
Yeah, it's a real baby game then?
No, it's like I said, it's the hardest probably
Okay.
if you do the optional bosses.
The hardest. And you were really frustrated by this game.
No.
Really? Would you compare it? Because I remember Bloodborne, you were losing your mind. You were texting Reiner, but like,
Texting-
I
I
can't
texted
do
Reiner
it.
like 2 times.
How
on
I
one
do
boss,
it?
and then I beat the game the next day.
for this review.
Then I
But
beat
did
the
you-
game. Wow,
what?
this is really some revisionist history right here.
I remember
No, no,
Reiner
it's
having to
pretty
come in
close.
and beat that game
Yeah.
for you for the
Is
review.
that what happened?
I believe
Man,
so. We'll have
this
to
is
check the
getting
record
pretty
books.
crazy.
I think he
Okay.
used his butt too.
He did. He kabuki
I used
worded it.
Andy's butt.
To
Just
wipe the
smash
tears off your cheeks.
No,
but how did that difficulty compare to Dark Souls 3? Were there times in 3's review where you're like, F this, this is
There
impossible?
was one boss that was extremely challenging. He was optional, so I actually killed him after I killed the final boss.
Oh, okay.
But he's the hardest boss in the Souls series in my estimation.
What else do Souls fans want to know about 3 that you want to let them know about?
More NPCs.
Lots of NPCs. You
Yeah.
build
No,
a
this is good,
hub.
though.
You build a hub up. There's tons of NPCs.
Yeah, what's the hubbub?
The hubbub about the hub.
That's right.
So you got the Firelink Shrine there. You're going to be calling back tons of NPCs to come help you out with your mission. They sell you spells. They sell you gear.
You can murder all
They
of
might be
them.
you can murder them for gear. Yeah,
Sounds good.
You'll
You can
find
fight with them. Is that what I'm hearing?
you can if you.
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool.
sure.
there's a lot of, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the environments, one-time adversaries you come across that once you kill
Yes.
them, they're gone for good, but they're kind of like these NPC type of characters.
Similar to the hunters in Bloodborne that you'd fight once and would drop special gear. There's a lot of those. There's like one-offs.
Cool.
A lot of mini bosses in the game too. There's like an incredible like sandworm style enemy that's a one-off. He's really fun.
Beetlejuice style? Dune style? What are we talking?
Oh, it's sort of Miyazaki's take on that critter. Yeah,
Oh, that critter.
yeah.
That little
little guy.
critter.
It's really it surprises you too. So it's like really it's fun.
Yeah. Any chance you're going to play this game, Reeves?
Maybe. I mean, like I said, I played 2 and I played Bloodborne. And after Bloodborne, I was kind of like, I don't know if I need this formula again. I liked them, but they're not
it's certainly
my
more
kind
deep.
of game.
It's more
so-
complex than Bloodborne, obviously, because it gives you options. You don't just play a melee guy in rags.
Okay.
That make no difference on your
there you
character,
go.
right?
I don't
So-
know.
Do you think it's going to be confusing for people who, because Bloodborne brought in a new audience, I would argue. Those people going from Bloodborne to 3?
I don't think it'll be a problem.
Okay.
I think it'll be good.
That's a real piece of cake. Ryan, you're committed to beating this game?
Yeah, like I said, they could keep pumping these games out left and right as long as the art direction stays so strong and they're that creative in the enemy
And
types.
Yeah.
There are some really, very unique environments, and my favorite environment in the entire Soul series is in this game. It's a snowy little village. It's incredible.
That's what I love. They, as Reiner said, they're really good at environmental art and they're really good at character art, and like that's kind of what sells me on those games.
I don't know how many times there's an enemy and it's just like you just want to take a snapshot of it and
You do.
study it and analyze what's going on with its face and limbs. You just can't really tell sometimes.
Find out what it feels like, the texture.
No, it's always like
Lick
it's
it.
a
What does
famous
it
thing,
taste like?
Yeah.
How does it smell?
Bop
Are you gonna
it.
play this?
I'm going to do my typical Dark Souls thing of
you're not
probably
gonna play
playing it for 2 hours and then saying, all right,
Go back
that's
to
fine.
Stardew Valley.
And then go back to Stardew
I think
Valley.
this one, if it has any chance to hook you, it's the one
Really?
because the curve is more accommodating.
Okay.
So it tries to like give you a taste and like you can do this, and then it eventually says, well, maybe you can do this. Maybe you should go over that way instead.
Oh,
instead of
aren't
going
I a stinker?
Eventually, it breaks you.
Yeah, it'll probably do that at some points. Yeah.
Okay, so Reiner says he wants one of these every 2 months to come out.
Yes.
I mean, is it to a point where they have exhausted this formula? If Dark Souls 4 comes out and it's this crap again, where it's a dragon on a bridge and you have to say the same thing about, yeah, Miyazaki really likes these certain tropes, is it going to be frustrating? Do you think it needs to completely upend the table?
Not at all. I think if they put out one of these every year, every 2 years, it's fine. This is the formula is as long as it never feels too samey or too like oh, here we go again. I've been in this castle before. As long as they could change it up, it's fine.
Really? I mean, isn't that what people argue with, like, I don't know, Rock Band or Assassin's Creed? And
But
like,
none of those
just kinda-
games have the challenge factor. I
So
never
you think
feel
that
that.
sets
I
it
never
apart?
feel that. Yeah, I do.
Well,
yeah.
rock band.
You do not get a
VR.
sense of accomplishment. Yeah, I don't. Whatever. It's a different situation completely. Like we were playing this morning.
It's just a different situation because you didn't like those.
We were playing this morning and JV killed a boss. It was incredibly tense, and we all clapped.
Yeah, I mean, it was serious celebration. You know, it wasn't just like, hey, way to go, you beat that song on Expert. It was like, oh my God, JV did it.
something for
Yeah.
us.
I mean, there's just a sense of accomplishment that gets that even if you play the game by yourself and no one ever sees you play it and you never play multiplayer at all, that series of that, that satisfaction and achievement that you can get in games, I don't think you can find it anywhere
I
else.
agree. Yeah, JV's usually worthless.
Well, yeah, I mean, I
But
can do that. But
I don't know.
But
I think they can wear out the formula.
And I'll say this, one of the best couch co-op experiences there is, and it's not designed that way. It
Not
is passing
really
the
co-op.
sticks, but just having the input of other people and just them feeding off your energy and the excitement or the dismay of what's going on is super fun.
yeah.
Good.
And the Chronicles, if you haven't been watching it yet, we're still pumping them out.
Yeah.
And it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I remember on the trip, Miyazaki was talking about, we'd like From Software to branch out a little bit, try something new.
Yeah, he did.
I mean,
he was saying stuff.
would
like
you be
that.
disappointed if this is the last Dark Souls for Miyazaki?
I think whatever he touches will be gold.
Armored
honestly.
Core Souls.
I would love to see
It's-
it. That I'm more interested
That
in.
actually would be interesting. If you went
Like,
with
yeah,
robots.
he might be a control freak and all that stuff, but like,
Yeah.
the stuff he creates is complete mastery, right? So keep it up.
Hey, keep it up, buddy.
keep it up.
Hey, speaking of mastery, I heard you mastered some time powers in Quantum Break
my
for the
gosh.
Xbox One. Well,
Yo.
tell us about Jack Joyce and Paul Serene's adventure.
Yeah, another Game Informer cover story from a while
Yeah,
back.
we went to Finland for that
Yeah,
thing.
me and you and Kyle, God
Yeah.
rest his soul. We we had a lot of fun, and honestly, like I was a big fan of Max Payne back in the day, and
Yeah.
I liked Alan Wake to a fair degree. I think this
Glowing
might
review.
be. Oh my gosh, couldn't stop playing.
Kind of
it.
liked it.
Except
To a
go
fair
sleep.
degree.
To a fair. I liked it, but I like this one even more. Is what I'm trying to get at.
Oh, really? More than
think-
Max Payne?
More. I think it's a more polished game than Max Payne.
Sure.
That
And I
didn't
think
answer the question.
for time and place, probably not.
Okay.
Honestly, because I really liked Max Payne.
Bullet time was mind
It
blowing.
was just mind blowing back then. But I think in terms of story and gameplay, I think this is probably their most polished, well put together game. to
Okay.
date,
Gameplay
which,
feels
yeah,
tight.
Gameplay feels really good. Shooting itself is fairly generic, but the fact that they layer on all these time powers totally changes it up because you can throw down time shields, freeze dudes in place, zip around the screen like the Flash, throw out an explosive time bomb. Every power in that game is called time something.
Does it feel
Really?
more
Yeah.
like a superhero game than like a Max Payne game, or is it more Max Payne with powers?
I think the superhero gameplay is kind of a good analogy.
They refer to it as like a superhero origin story.
Yeah,
That's how they
every
see
time
it.
I see it, though, it's just like
Shooting
I'm like,
guns.
I'm
think
not
you
really
gotta-
getting that superhero.
I think you
vibe.
got to get your hands on the controller and get a feel for the powers because they are a lot of fun. Like once you get into the flow of combat, it's a lot of fun to like throw off a few powers, then zip around. Guys lose track of you because the enemy AI can't keep track of you because you're moving so fast.
Slow down.
Is that why? I can't keep track. Okay.
Slow down. So it doesn't keep track of you, Dan, is what I'm saying.
I gotcha.
And then your time powers are eventually like on a cooldown, and so your powers will come back up online, and so you're constantly rotating through your power set.
I heard that you get all the powers in this game early on. Is that true?
Fairly early on, yeah.
Okay. Do you get sick of just having the
would-
same things over and over again by the end of the game?
No, it's a traditional action game in a sense where I don't know, like Uncharted. You're not like getting a bunch of new powers and stuff.
Yeah, but the gimmick
in
for
that
Uncharted
game.
isn't like, hey, here's a bunch of wacky crap. It's like if it's a superhero
Is that
game.
the gimmick here? Is there a bunch of wacky crap?
It's a bullet point on the back. Yeah,
Alright.
absolutely. Bullet time, boy.
Yeah, so what does that say to the variety moving forward then in level design? Like, do they do what Uncharted does where it's like the experience takes center stage opposed to like your move set, right? Does that kind of what happens
Yeah.
in Quantum Break? Is it
there's
becomes
not-
more of that?
It's not as flashy as Uncharted, let's say. There's not as many like crazy set piece moments. There's a few. And I think the story also takes a big chunk of center stage, right? So like there's a lot of story driven moments and they have a good degree of like pacing out. Like here's an action set piece, here's like a story bit, here's a puzzle that you kind of solve with your time powers, like slow down this thing. Simple stuff, Hanson, so you can probably do it.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
slow
Simple
down this
puzzles.
door and you can run
Simple
through
puzzles
it.
are the future, baby. Pave
They
the
are the
road.
future.
So I was excited about this game, just seeing how surreal and weird it gets. Like every time they show like what is it called, the time dilation, fissure. Fracture?
Time stops.
Yeah, what is that called?
Time fractures.
Fractures, whatever it is. I think that looks amazing. Just seeing those objects like frozen in time and him wandering around interacting in the environment. Are there a lot of cool things like that? Does it get trippy and weird by the end?
I'm not sure I know what you mean by trippy and weird. But
how surreal does the experience get?
How confusing does time get?
There's a little bit of like time jumping around, like you going back in time and forward in time. If that's what you're getting at.
They did say on that cover story trip that you see a dinosaur in this game.
Oh my gosh.
There's dinosaurs? Now I'm interested. I wasn't interested before.
I don't know what they were talking about.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Is it just in a museum? Is there a level in a museum?
Oh gosh, no.
There was not.
No.
Really?
I unless there was something on campus that I missed.
There probably
I don't want to
was.
like tease everybody and be like, well, play to find out, because I don't remember seeing one.
So it doesn't get that experimental with the time travel story.
There's nothing that crazy. You're sticking within like 10 years.
Oh gosh.
The best 10 years of
The best 10
existence.
years of
though.
your life, though. Like, it's really good. I mean, I feel like we have to mention the live action stuff, though.
No, we don't. We're actually moving on
Okay,
to
great.
MLB.
Moving on.
No,
MLB,
yeah,
MLB.
I was very skeptical about this crap. I've seen enough sci-fi shows. I think I understand what they're going for.
We did 101 questions with Sam Lake when we were out there, and one of the questions was, "Is this live action stuff going to be dumb?" Which I thought was a funny question.
That's a really funny
and he
question.
said no.
And
He's a liar. No,
Whoa.
Wow.
it's not that bad.
This is hard hitting right here. Wow.
I compared it to like a basic cable show.
Skinamax?
I think. Yes, that's right.
That's paid
at
cable.
11:09. Those one of those really late shows. It's not great, but it's not like so dumb that you're like just ribbing on it the whole time, right?
okay.
It's passable.
So sci-fi level,
That is awful.
defiance level.
This
kind of
sounds
stuff.
actually
Kinda.
terrible.
Just having something passable in a game sounds terrible.
But there's huge talent in this, right? Like, there's
So that's actually kind of elevates it a little bit because oh crap, what's his name? Littlefinger.
Yeah.
He does a really good job, and then
Aiden Gilly.
Aiden Gillian. Is that what
Something
it is?
like that.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
So there's some like good talent in the game, and Dominic Monaghan, however you say his name.
Iceman truckers.
Monahan.
They're all in this thing.
Yeah, everybody did a fine job acting, and I thought it was good. It's
Dan Tech's
more
treating this
fun.
like you're lighting the
Dan,
game on fire by saying that this one
just
part
this,
wasn't
just
great.
this part of the game.
The fact that
The
this
live action
game
stuff.
this element is passable somehow
Passable
in your mind.
is a really like. Oh yeah, it's maybe okay.
It's average. If I were gonna score the show, it'd be a 7.
That's not bad at all. You made it out to be a little bit worse.
Oh yeah, I used the word passable. I'm sorry.
You did, but before that, you were going pretty hard on it.
Well,
Tech, you
here-
might be exaggerating.
here's the
a little
thing.
I
there.
think I am.
Part of the thing that sold me on the show was doing things in the game and then just wanting to see how they played out in the show.
Sure.
And there are some things that are somewhat dramatic, but in the end, it is kind of that telltale thing of like everything eventually kind of weaves back together to the same.
But that said, they
funnel.
said, I remember that there are like a ton of small variations in that final episode. Even if it's getting back to the same big story beat at the end, it was just like a matter of like this character's live or that character's live, or in this one there's a ram in the background and the other one it's not.
Yeah, there's like you flip
Literally.
a switch in one environment in the game, and then in the show, like something is on in the TV in the background. Might be an example.
Hold on to your butts,
All right.
Well, yeah,
everybody.
those
All right,
that's the little thing is what I'm saying. Or like the power might be out in this one area.
Okay.
Right. So it's cool.
that kind of stuff.
Did it matter at all, or is it just like the novelty of, hey, I'm touching something in a game world and it's affecting a show? I haven't seen that before.
That was the novelty of it. That was fun. And
Yeah.
like if every game did this, then that every game should not do this.
And
doing
He
this
says
once
stuff like
was
that.
fun.
What do you expect me to
well,
take
of course,
away?
every
These-
game should do this.
These live action clips are 22 minutes long each, right?
Right. Yeah.
And how
about
many are in the game?
4.
Okay, so there's 4 22-minute episodes.
So there's not a ton of them either. Is the other thing.
Question for you I have is games like Uncharted every once in a while would slow down to a crawl and there'd just be characters sitting at a table having a conversation like you'd see in a TV show. It was kind of unheard of in games where
Sure.
cutscenes would fly by, right? Outside of Metal Gear. Does this feel weird having these big 22-minute blocks of TV kind of thrown in there, or does it just kind of make sense with what they got going on at that point?
Well, it all tied into the same story. So like it made sense in that way, but it was maybe a little weird the first time. You're like, well, this is a really long cutscene, is what it feels like. And then you're like, well, I guess I'm technically watching a show.
Kojima's
And
name
then-
comes up, and it's just like makes sense now.
The question I have then
Yeah.
is do they reserve all the action for the game itself, or do they have action in those cutscenes?
No, there's action in both. So there's actually a couple cool action scenes in the show. Nothing mind blowing, but you're like, oh, that was a decent action scene.
I always love, I forget who it was. Some developer was talking once about how having a scene where two characters are just sitting there talking to each other and making it interesting is the easiest thing to do in movies and the hardest thing to do in games.
Oh.
And then it's the flip for action sequences. And so I think Reiner's talking about like how much they take advantage of each.
Yeah,
the power of each medium.
And that's probably because you're always eager to like, you have your hands on a controller, so you're always eager to be doing something when you play a game. It's just your mindset going into that medium, right? I think when you sit down to watch a movie, you're ready to just sort of absorb it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're playing a game, you don't want to just watch things.
give input
You want to
and
like
see
be
it. Yeah.
inputting things.
Okay.
So I kind of just don't think, I think it's like oil and water. Like the two mediums maybe just don't mix that well.
Is it a fun experiment though? Just
It
to
is
see, hey, someone actually tried to do this in a video game.
It is a very fun experiment. And I think the gameplay holds up enough, making it worth checking this out. Like I said, the show stuff is fine.
Jack's gonna puke.
Just keeps curving. It's so hard.
It's fun to see how it plays out. It's the worst thing I've ever done. Is all I'm saying. No, it's fine. It's a fun experiment. I think that's the perfect way to put
It's
it.
fine.
You gave this game a what?
I gave it an 8.5.
Holy Lord, that's high.
Why? Why is that high?
I don't know. It's
fine.
You said it's fun and fine a
Well,
thousand times.
but that's like the show as a whole.
Right,
If I were
sure.
reviewing the show, maybe a 7. But like the gameplay itself.
How
elevates it.
much did the fact that they hid an Alan Wake TV show in this world bump up that review score?
Oh, by a whole point. I told you I was a huge fan of Alan Wake. No, there are some interesting like teases to Alan Wake, and we put up a test chamber actually last week
Yeah.
where we see one. We see this Alan Wake Easter egg.
Okay.
So look forward to that.
I
Look
heard
back at that.
Look back at that, everybody. I heard that like Sam Lake
Time.
acts in it,
Yeah, not in that Easter egg, but in
Okay.
a different thing. Yes.
and so it has the right level of
It's
like remedy quirkiness.
Very
weirdness thrown
short
in there.
and goofy and totally remedy.
Perfect.
Totally remedy.
Something that I also hope is short and goofy is Reiner's segment on MLB 16. Everybody, baseball.
I
you
was
got
waiting
back.
for this one.
All right, guys.
MLB.
Get your best coma faces on here.
All right, I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready to just go catatonic.
Tack was born that way.
None of you know anything
Wow.
about baseball, do you?
That's the one where you
hit
throw
a ball.
things at the hoops. right?
I've
hit a
seen
ball.
Moneyball. I've seen
God.
Rookie of the Year about 15 times. Oh, Field of Dreams is one of my favorite
Yeah,
movies.
yeah, I love that one.
So I think I get it.
So
Hey, now, Dan Tack, do you really not like?
Jerry Maguire, yeah, all the baseball movies.
Do you like Field of Dreams, Dan Tack?
Yeah, I do.
Do you cry at the end of Field of Dreams? Have you
No.
ever? Reeves, have you cried at the end of Field of Dreams?
Field of Dreams? I don't think so. I
Reiner?
cried at Rudy.
no, not Field of Dreams. That was a little
Rudy.
too fantastical.
Hey, football-
What's
better.
the best baseball movie ever made
I like The Rookie.
of the year? Correct.
No.
Oh,
Yes.
The Rookie.
No, The Rookie, where like a 40-year-old guy finds out that he could throw like a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, and this actually happened.
Oh, really?
Ended up going into baseball. Yeah. It's an awesome story.
isn't that just
Done very well.
Invincible but with Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
That was
I mean,
good.
it's,
I like
it's
that
very
one.
similar.
All right.
It's very similar in like just average Joe
Right,
actually has the
right.
talent, the chops to do it. But yeah, I thought that was one of the best.
What about
Great.
Angels in the Outfield? Everybody loves that
But
one.
let's let him talk about the game.
But
No,
anyway,
so Starcraft
real
2
quick,
DLC. Okay, yeah.
MLB 16 the show, very
Yeah.
good game.
Oh, really?
They've honed their craft over I don't know how many years, 15 years. I don't know how long they've been doing this series, but they've gone all in on their online component, Diamond Dynasty.
Diamond Dynasty.
Where it is building your own team, collecting cards, battling other people online. There's a new conquest mode with the United States map
What?
where you're battling for fans, and it's like it goes through these different turns of attack,
What?
conquer.
Like Risk?
Yeah, it's very much
And it has like boundaries like Civ?
and you're moving tokens around on the
Sounds
screen,
amazing.
capturing territories.
I take everything back. I want to see this. That sounds bizarre.
And yeah, eventually, like you'll take down the Twins. You know, I'm my
What?
team, the Burnsville
Oh.
Bats.
okay.
Bats is in. They have a big Batman symbol on their chest.
That sounds really
Which,
cool.
after
you're-
seeing Batman versus Superman, I want to change it. But
Whoa!
the movie sucked.
I thought it was fine.
I thought it was
I'm
the
just
best thing
joking.
ever.
But anyway, it is a very different thing, but it's very addictive. It's only 3 inning games, so you're going through these games very fast.
This in the Conquest thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have a battle royale mode, adding a lot of stuff just to this online sector. The weird thing is Conquest is a offline game, but it's hidden in the online area, so you have to always be connected because it ties into this whole trading card thing they got going on.
Okay.
That's connected to their online stuff and all that. But gameplay wise, they increased the size of the ball a little bit
kidding me?
visually, which no one notices, but it actually helps you make better contact and
just
read
like a beach
balls
ball
and
out there?
strikes. No, it's probably in between like a softball and baseball.
Oh, weird.
Maybe just a little bigger
What
than
a
baseball.
weird thing.
But that
Okay.
doesn't affect
Yeah.
the like gameplay physics or anything.
No.
No one
And,
can catch it in their mitts now.
That's what they said. Well, they said no one knows that they changed the size of it, but
Yeah.
they said that it's helped them, with their test internally and all that stuff. And I felt that way too. Just reading strikes and balls with it being a split second thing,
Sure.
seems to help. But solid is always on the field. I haven't run into too many bugs. Some AI issues here or there that. I mean, it's just tricky when you got so many moving pieces on the field going at the same time. But as a whole, just a really strong, solid baseball sim. One cool thing they do is they don't send you back to a menu in a series. Teams will play each other like 3 times. You could just play through those games without loading again. But that'll
Okay.
mean it'll be like the same weather. So if it's raining the first day, it'll be raining all 3 days in any instance where I played all those games together.
I mean, they just cancel baseball games in the rain, don't they? Do people
Sometimes.
actually play?
No, sometimes they if it's lightning,
Yeah.
you don't want people dying.
I've never seen like
but
a good professional baseball game in the rain. Like my favorite NFL games are always in the snow. That's when it's just awesome.
Those
I've
are
never
the
seen the
best.
equivalent in
No, I've seen
baseball.
some
Oh,
pretty
really?
great baseball
Slippery
games in the rain.
balls.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go
good
on,
stuff.
Dan.
No, that's the whole statement.
One of the best in a while.
Yes, I would say it's their best effort in the last few years.
I saw that RBI Baseball 16 is on Steam. Should I get that instead?
You personally, yes. Everybody else, no.
Okay, what about that weird Nickelodeon baseball game where French Toast Man played baseball? Should I get that instead? Do you remember that?
No, you should get RBI.
That's a thing that exists, man.
Do you remember this, Ryan?
No, I
We did a
don't.
test chamber of it a long time ago where it was this weird Nickelodeon game where you could be like
It was
Aang
MLB with like SpongeBob playing with like Albert Pujols
and like
stuff
Aang
that.
from Avatar, like
Yeah.
running for home. It was a weird game
Yeah.
that people don't
That was
talk about.
2013, maybe something like that. Yeah, it was a while
I
ago.
guess 2011.
What a weird relic.
Remember that time? Speaking of weird relic, where the MLB team was it San Diego, Sony San Diego? Is that right? Did they announce that Killstream game? Remember that it was like a shooter. They showed it at PSX 2014.
Kill Strain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that come out?
That was no. That's still in like I think they had a beta,
okay.
but I think that's still coming. But that is like that. Oh man, what was it? It was like Evolve. It was like 4v2 versus 8 or something like that.
yeah.
And then the 2 could take over the other sides, and you become the largest entity.
They
by
haven't talked
infecting
about
them.
that for like 2 years, have they?
It was super cool. I
Yeah.
liked the early prototype we played, but yeah, I hope that comes.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Hey, Dentech.
Hey,
I know you're champing at the bit to talk about the StarCraft II DLC.
I know you are.
I feel like a real jerk for not getting around to it yet.
Yeah, it only will take you a couple hours.
Okay, so this
Depending
is
on
the
difficulty
first
level.
wave of StarCraft II DLC.
So here's how
Well,
it works. It's basically a whole new campaign
Yeah.
and served up in sets of 3 missions each. And there's
Okay.
going to be 3 drops of that. So we just got the first 3 missions.
No, this sounds terrible.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, yeah, you were
No,
a fan.
the format I'm actually okay with.
Okay, the
that's cool.
content.
Nova's an awesome character, hinging things
she?
around her. I like her.
She's fine.
I played her in Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, okay.
They fleshed her character out a little bit. She has a cool ghost. Is there any cooler ghost than her?
I don't know, that one evil guy voiced by Lee from Walking Dead, he was okay.
Kerrigan?
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know.
no, I know who he's talking about. Yeah. Yeah, he was cool. All right, fine, fair enough. Anyway, I really like Nova. Nova's cool. It's cool to have a character like this is a covert ops mission kind of thing, right? It starts off that
Okay.
way. So the first thing they get you in there, it's basically a Metal Gear Solid mission.
What?
You're completely stealth.
Why haven't I played this yet?
You're doing stealth takedowns in an RTS context, obviously.
yeah.
But you don't want to alert anybody. You're doing stealth takedowns.
A hind D.
It's really like that. That's the whole first mission, and then it just gets into some kind of weird, hey, let's get on a speeder bike and shoot stuff, shoot planes and shoot cars.
This sounds
Yeah,
like the
that sounds
variety.
amazing.
Sounds really cool.
This is the variety
Great.
that we love in StarCraft 2's missions, isn't it?
I appreciate the variety in the first mission.
Okay.
So the first
I didn't
mission's
think it
good.
I didn't think it worked, but I appreciate the variety.
All right.
Is it of a quality of the prologue they released before Legacy of the Void came out, where it's those 3 Protoss missions, which were all
these
pretty
missions
forgettable?
I thought they were very forgettable, but they were. What can you do these days, right? You really have to change it up in an RTS mission.
Yeah.
The first one they do. That's the solid state mission. It is what it is. It's cool, and I had a decent amount of fun with that.
Yeah.
The next two missions are much more traditional experiences. They do some really cool stuff with Nova. What you can do with her, like instead of like modding, you get in the other StarCraft II stuff. You get like you can customize your character in different ways, or your build out.
Yeah.
Right. Like you get moves to use and stuff like
Right,
that. With this, you can customize her loadout. Like give her a shotgun, give her heavy armor, different kinds of grenades, lots of cool stuff that influences how you play the mission because she's a central part of every mission.
So you say central part. I mean, but it has the base building missions as well. It's not just like the control a hero missions.
Missions 2 and 3 are very much more traditional RTS missions.
Okay.
With the unit upgrades and everything that you'd find in the other parts of the series.
I don't think we talked about it on the podcast. We touched on it a little bit, but the ending of StarCraft II: Legacy of the Void.
Do we have to do this again?
No. We don't need to go into all of it, but
Right.
it leaves things in a unique, somewhat ambiguous
Sure.
like standing. So how does this shed any light onto what the hell's going on at the end of StarCraft II?
No. This
Where
is
does
sort of its own. This is its own entity.
It doesn't touch on like, hey, here's what Rainer's up to,
No.
everybody.
Does it take place?
We could. We're only
After
3
that?
missions into it.
So
I don't. The timeline. I don't
You
even
don't know where the timeline even.
it's
fits.
never addressed.
There
It's
are
just-
characters in it. I just don't know where the timeline is. There are characters from StarCraft II in it.
Do they touch on the mysterious fourth race?
I think
that they
I think
take
it
us-
happens after. And no, they don't.
Okay.
Um,
Do you think does the storyline feel like it's building up to?
yeah, the
something
storyline is traditional StarCraft storyline. I actually, the cutscenes are great as always. It's great to see Nova kick some ass.
But let the record show for the audio version that Dan Tech was smirking when he said StarCraft II storyline.
I am not a fan of the
'Cause that's
StarCraft
why we all
storyline.
play
I'm
StarCraft.
more than willing. I'm more than willing to say that.
Sure. What a bold stance.
I think actually, from what I've heard, a lot of people really liked the StarCraft II storyline.
Really? I heard a lot of people complaining about
It was just me.
well,
Every day, it counted for a lot.
No.
Two's ending is it's a silly thing. I think it's inoffensive. Parts of it are fun. I still like seeing those races, even
I
if the
thought parts of
characters
it were
themselves.
fun too. I liked a few of the characters in that.
Yeah.
a few.
a few.
The rest of them were forgettable and stupid. So
The rest is a few too many.
I still really like that gameplay even. So even if it's just 3 new levels,
just
to
very-
let me play that game.
I am just so bored of defend the objective
Yeah.
and take these points. We've done it. We've done it a lot. So
and that's why you think the future of the RTS is Clash Royale?
I think the future of the RTS could take a lot from Clash Royale.
Reiner, you're a big fan of Clash Royale as well. What would you like to see the future of the RTS genre take from Clash Royale specifically?
I like it how you just, there's no nuance to it. You're just like, this is the future.
I don't know.
No, I mean, it's changing what it is, I think, is the wrong approach. I think it's always going to be take down the bases, all that kind of stuff. I think that's what the genre is, right?
Sure.
But to Tak's point, I think there's an immediacy and a quickness to Clash Royale that makes it really intriguing for players like that. And there's still, I would say there's just as much strategy there, right?
There's a lot of strategy people don't see on the surface. When they pick it up, they're like, oh yeah, I guess I'll just buy new stuff and I'll win. That's not really how it works. You really got to focus on positioning and timing and all kinds of other things.
It's like going from Bejeweled 3 to Bejeweled Blitz.
Wow.
But if
You're having a great time here today, aren't you, Hanson?
But if I could have a good like StarCraft 2 type of game be done in 3 minutes, like I'm not kidding.
I would love
Like,
a great
I'm
Legend of
seriously-
Zelda adventure done in 3 minutes
But no,
to get
like
that crap over
or
with.
5 minutes. I mean, there's something there though. I mean, there really is something there where you're just churning through these matches, and that's part of the hook is how quick it is.
I have a pitch for you, Reiner. Mm-hmm. It's called Mushroom Wars
This is
on
insane.
PS3. Mushroom Wars 2
Okay.
is coming out. No one paid attention to this. They announced it during GDC. Mushroom Wars on PS3. It's not Mushroom Men. It's not that platformer garbage. This is
Oh,
something
that's
else
what
entirely.
I always think of.
This is
I know,
this
everybody
sounds
always
like a
says-
Ben Hansen game.
It is a super Ben Hansen-y game, but I really, really like it as a boiled-down RTS experience on consoles. Dantak, at some
All right.
point, I'm going to
All
invite
right.
you over to my weirdo condo,
God, I'm so terrified.
and we're going to play that game.
all right.
Did you
gonna
play
be the
Halo
best.
Wars?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
I liked Halo Wars. I thought it was kind of fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
I went
There's
back
no
to it just a
Mushroom
couple
Wars,
years
what you're
ago.
saying.
Yeah,
Just to touch back on StarCraft 2 for a minute. If you do like StarCraft 2, you will like this.
sure.
And
There you
it
go.
offers that. There
But
you go.
to
Fans
back
of
to
the
Hanson's
genre.
question, which you didn't answer
Which didn't I answer? All right.
Dodged it.
about Clash and StarCraft.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like,
What do you want him to take from it?
do you agree with what I'm saying, or do you think
I
there's,
do. I do. It's just like the problem is with the RTS right now is that it's they can feel extremely boring. You've got the one player always trying to like. I'm not talking about professional play or anything like that here. So like, just forget that. It's just like it's normally the single player missions: build up, destroy the opponent. Build up, destroy the opponent. Or we do the little song and dance where like a specialized mission. You've got like 3 special guys with special moves.
Lottie F.
Use them on cooldowns. These are like all we have right now, right? Seeing something, taking a little something from Clash where they're like, you don't have to worry about resource gathering. You're simply trying to out tactically play your opponent. Like
Wasn't
this.
that like Dawn of War's thing?
Dawn of War, you still had to take points to get the resources.
Okay.
It's more like a game much older than that. One of Bungie's first, I think, right? Myth: The Fallen Lords.
Sure.
That was an incredible game. So you get like a point system, you'd assemble your army, and then you just go in and fight. There was no resource gathering, any of that stuff. So that's the reason why Clash Royale succeeds. It gets right to the action. There's lots of strategy, and like that's all there is when you're in it. You're just playing strategy against your opponent directly. There's no building up, no expoing, no nothing. You know, that's it.
Just getting it out.
You just get it out.
Economics aren't fun.
Economics are less fun than they were. Just because we've got such a diversity of games now, like the whole RTS transferring into the MOBA, adding those progression aspects,
So you want the RTS genre to learn from not only Clash Royale but also MOBAs. It's weirdo stepchild.
I don't want the RTS genre to completely change and turn into Clash Royale. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that
Sounds like it.
there's high potential to learn there for
or experiment.
for
Sure.
the next morphing RTS game.
Especially these big juggernauts, that are going to be coming out no matter what. Try something. Try something different and see if it sticks. And
I mean, you can laugh if you want. Do you think Halo Wars 2 is a good contender for getting experimental there in a big budget kind of way?
Don't you think they're going to play it pretty safe, though? I mean, we haven't seen the gameplay, but it seems like it's going to be more Halo Wars, right? That is traditional.
I don't remember how much. I don't know.
That was traditional RTS. That was building bases, very mission based.
But I don't remember what the resource gathering was like in Halo Wars.
It's pretty limited. I think you just put a station down on top of the resource point. I don't think you had to manage troops there.
Don't you think? Here, Dantech, I don't want to get too...
I like the next StarCraft game to be, to take something from Clash Royale. All right?
There we go.
I'm just going to go on record and say that.
You know what? I liked Halo Wars.
Hey, man. It's just fine.
It was just fine.
Don't you think that the world is primed for, in a world of retro indie throwbacks, I mean...
Aren't we tired of them now, though?
I'm a little bit sick of the pixelated look of everything and everybody really worshiping the Super Nintendo. But I don't see many people worship old RTS games as much.
You're right.
Why is that? Why isn't anybody making like a Warcraft 2
Because the
clone?
genre has morphed so hard. I told you. They've turned into MOBAs. They're more
I
satisfying
understand that.
to play.
And then, there's what is it? Grey Goo. That was more of like a high-polished throwback.
That was a very traditional RTS.
For sure, but I want an indie take on it where they're simplified. Like, hey, basically, here's a new Warcraft 2.
Pixelated RTS? Is that what
I don't care about the pixels. I want just
Warcraft 2?
Yeah, I want like a new version.
Have you played Warcraft 2 lately?
No.
Go play it and tell me that again.
I'm sure it'd be a great time. I just played Lego Battles on DS. That's basically Warcraft 2.
It was cool 15 years ago. The model has changed.
I'm just saying, I think there's an opportunity for the indie community to cash in on nostalgia for early RTSs.
On a genre that is struggling.
I think people are still nostalgic about early RTSs, don't you?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, these games that are cashing in on nostalgia are also doing interesting things at the same time.
Right.
New things, right? It's just they're taking the heritage, moving it forward, and doing something cool on top of it.
Yeah, so put it like a cool art style. Make it all Christmas themed.
All right.
Put some twist on it, man.
I'd love to see this.
All right,
Do crop resource gathering. I don't know.
Oh, the Harvest Moon RTS?
Sure, let's do it.
Where it's all just resource gathering and you never do anything with your resources?
I think that would be
You could have
perfect.
automated armies that are feeding the food that you collect.
that are feeding the food.
Yeah, like the food that you get. Like if you get 10 berries, you create some like giant parsnip.
So you just throw it in the little crate and then something comes out the other end.
And it would be like a race, right? You'd be running
think
around.
And
trying to
Pelican
make-
Town is a warring faction, broken up into different houses.
We got a $1 million
Stop
idea
talking.
here.
Gotta stop giving people their ideas. This
You know
is
what,
gold.
guys? We should stop talking because
Yes,
we
we
should
should.
get to the next segment and interact with the community a little bit.
That sounds fun.
Sounds fun.
Stay tuned for that. All right, welcome back to the Game Informer Show. What we're doing here is we're going to try taking calls from the community again. We did it.
Oh, boy.
So long ago. Were any of you on that episode where we did it?
This sounds like a nightmare.
No.
Let's do it.
Great. Well, I hope you're ready to live through a nightmare. So we set up a Game Informer Skype account, and we sent it out, the ping out to our Facebook fan group. And we don't know what people are going to call in to talk about, but let's
right.
see who's on the line.
Let's take some calls.
MDogIG?
Hi.
Hi.
Wow.
Hi.
What's your name, sir?
Did you fall
My
off the
name is
toilet?
Michael.
Michael. Hey, do you want to give out your full name?
Oh, Michael Mays.
Oh, hi, Michael.
Do you want to give
Mays.
out your social security number?
Whoa.
So You're on with Reiner, Tack, and Reeves and myself. Thanks for calling in randomly, Michael.
Thanks for having me, question mark?
Yeah, you are our guest. So what's your question, man? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I'm just really wondering. So I recently was replaying, Resident Evil 4, which is probably, I would say, the best game from that generation on a console.
Interesting.
I would make that argument.
Could be
and
right.
I'm just wondering kind of what games you think from the last generation of consoles we'll still be talking about, 11, 12 years from now, as like the defining ones from the entire life cycle of the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, the Wii generation.
Probably Driver San Francisco. Thanks a lot for calling in, Michael. We'll see you next time.
Two of them come to mind.
Yeah.
Last of Us and BioShock.
Those were the exact two I was just thinking of.
I was
thinking of a different one.
I would go Last of Us, Call of Duty 4.
Oh, okay.
Dan Tack, what do you think?
I was going Last of Us and Dark Souls.
No.
Yeah,
What a
no, that's
novel
big. That's
exchange.
the whole Souls series started there. Yeah.
I think there's one. I would add Portal 2 to that.
Can't add any.
Oh, okay.
You only get two.
You only can subtract. What do you think, Michael?
Well, Red Dead Redemption actually came to my mind
Oh, yeah.
because it seems like the best actualization of that open world style that Rockstar kind of perfected at around this time. And I mean, it's kind of hard not to say BioShock is in there.
Yeah, it's
I
interesting.
want to change mine based on that.
It's weird to think about it in terms of the obvious example and the go-tos here is just to say like, oh, what are the best games? The best games will be talked about. But there's games that when they came out at the time for previous gen even, where I don't think people would say it's necessarily the best, but over time it's just bubbled up and it turns out people talk about it a lot.
Like
And
what?
so let's think about it. In Resident Evil 4,
like the
people were like, oh, that's good.
Burger King games.
The point is, do you think
love
just
those.
the best of the generation is what lives on? Or is there a chance that looking back, the legacy could be something that we don't expect?
It could be something like 10 years from now, if Assassin's Creed is still strong, that might be more the conversation than like BioShock, which by all intents and purposes right now is done, right? Like
Right.
after Infinite and Ken Levine moving on, like
Ken Levine hinted on the Game Informer show that something may be brewing.
Oh,
I'm sure there's always something,
nothing brewing.
some talks, but you know what I mean? Like it's
I guess
like,
a good example of that would be like Persona 4, right? Something that comes out so long after the conversation has shifted that it's not really the talk of the town per se as like
Right.
a defining game of that generation because it's so far removed from it.
Yeah. By the way, is Persona 5 still coming out on PS3? Is that still a thing?
They say so.
yeah, I hope
it is
Good,
still a
it's
thing.
still
Lord.
coming to
It's still a
anything.
thing.
Yeah, that's one I'd like to learn more about. All right, Michael, thanks for calling in, man. Appreciate
Thank
your
you very
call.
much.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Awesome call.
Hello, Nick Rensbottom.
Hey,
Welcome to the Game Informer show, sir.
This troublemaker.
I am not a troublemaker. How dare you?
Nick, you were on an episode of Replay 6,000 years ago. What was that game again?
Zach and Wiki.
Of course, Zach and Wiki. What was the roulette?
Billy Hatcher.
Of course, Billy
good
Hatcher.
combo.
What a classic.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling in. We got Reeves, we got Tack, we got Reiner, and myself. What would you like to talk about, Nick?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about Batman versus Superman?
Oh,
Can we?
Yeah.
Dan Tack's favorite film?
It is the best movie of 2016.
Dan Tack saw it like 6 times.
That's like 7
Oh,
now.
absolutely.
I'm trying to raise that box office myself.
Reiner, you're the resident Batman fan. We haven't talked about this dumb movie yet on the podcast. What do you think of that thing?
I think it is a soulless and
Overthought.
over lengthy turd of a movie. Like
What?
really, it is
Woof.
Frankenstein in a way that just it sometimes doesn't even make sense.
I don't.
All the lineage of the characters that they've established from the from the 50s on, 60s on, just thrown in the trash and rewritten just
Nope.
for purposes of being different or darker.
Are you talking about him killing people?
I want to speak to this when he's done.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. The spoiler here, but Batman kills people?
Oh yeah, left and right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, There's nothing wrong with that. You guys have to understand.
Dan Tack, I've never
Taking-
seen you act so hard. Except
taking-
for when you try to be
He's
nice.
never seen the movie.
Taking creative vision and changing it. These characters can change. You know, they're not just cardboard
You don't
cutouts
have to
that have
sing
to
and
play a
put
certain
on a little
way.
song and dance here,
His
Dan.
Right.
acting is better than acting.
But when you put it
Dan
in the
Tactor over there.
context, when you put it in the context of this film, Nick,
Shut up,
I'll
Dan.
let you talk here in a second, Nick. But I mean, it's everything that they put their finger on. It's like, okay, this has to be darker.
Nope.
This needs to be darker. Dan, you haven't even seen the movie.
This sounds so much like
But
just.
hold on.
Okay, I will.
You haven't gone to the movie.
You don't know that.
Yes, I do.
I have made no statement of such.
You have
Maybe he
not
has.
seen the
Maybe he
movie.
has
You've
seen the
made
movie.
statements in the forums like every day.
I just need to clarify here. This is just this sounds so much like that old men yelling at cloud situation. You don't want your
not
precious
that.
characters
Shut up,
tainted.
you
No,
idiot.
that's
Shut
not
up.
what I'm saying. Is I think it comes across in a way where it's like you don't even recognize Lex Luthor. You don't even really recognize Batman. It's just this weird mess, and it's like, okay, when you finally grasp that, what's there isn't that much fun.
How
Reiner Batman was the one in the black suit. He had that badge.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know. It was
All I
hard to
hear
pick
is
out,
I'm
but-
scared of change.
That's
all
not
I
it
hear.
at all.
Is it too packed? Do they try and set up too much of the universe? Is
Yeah,
it Spider-Man
there's-
3
Yeah,
problem?
absolutely.
Okay.
There's,
Nick
there's
and Wiki,
way
what'd
too
you
much
think?
going on. Yeah, Nick, what do
Take
you
it
think?
away.
Okay, I didn't think it was that bad.
Oh.
All right, next caller.
Good guy.
I went in. I enjoyed myself. I didn't think it was a great movie. Maybe not even a good movie. But did I have fun? Yes.
Okay. Were you playing like 3DS games during it or something? I'm confused.
No.
Oh,
no.
I see.
It's just on. You know,
What did you think of that dream sequence?
That dream
Batman's
sequence was stupid.
What did
Which
you
one?
think of
Because
that?
there's like 3.
Let's
The
not
one-
fully spoil this. If we
yeah,
can.
you guys
Yeah.
are really
There's-
come on.
there's-
true. That's true.
There's a lot of so DC is banking on this being the foundation for like a decade worth of movies,
Make
right?
it bank on this. Yeah.
And what the hell are you laughing at?
It's
Dear God, this guy.
I just can't. I just can't handle this cavalier attitude. Of
Shut up,
attacking
Dan,
two
shut
of DC's
up,
biggest
shut up.
legends.
But
Shut up.
But the one thing I'll say
Asshole.
is they are building up this foundation for a decade worth of movies, and that decade is in this movie. Like you are seeing pieces of like all this stuff that's coming. So there'll be points where it's like you're following the plot. You're like, okay, there's things building up here, and then all of a sudden it's like this weird shot of Batman in like a trench coat going nuts. All this stuff happening, apocalypse raining down on Earth, and then it just goes back to the normal thing. You're like, okay, that's interesting. We'll get back to that later. No, you won't.
Yeah. And the scene
Not
where-
maybe a decade from now you will.
And the scene where they actually set up the other characters, like in the JLA, is super hokey and like just
Yeah.
seems kind of cheaply.
Let's
done.
call him Aquaman.
It's in an email that Batman sends to Wonder
That's
Woman.
exactly what I was about to bring up. Batman sends an email to Wonder Woman.
And he even like does all caps like, I know it's you. And you're like giggling.
Is
like,
that a deleted scene? You get to see him typing it out?
did I have a good time at the movie? Yes. I was laughing all the way through it for the wrong reasons though. And I was like every time Lex Luthor was on screen, I was like, this
Oh,
is
he was
one of the
awful.
worst characters ever presented on film.
Especially like, I like Superman Returns. I think it gets a bad rap, but
Yeah.
Kevin Spacey's awesome.
Yeah, no, he's a
Yeah.
great Lex Luthor, but this is like he's trying to be Joker or Riddler.
Absolutely.
And then he
He's trying
turns
to be
into
the
this.
Riddler.
He almost turns into like a serial killer at the end where he's like painting witch on Martha Kent's forehead and taking Polaroids of her like Jigsaw, like from
Look,
the
that's
Saw movies.
enough.
Like,
That's enough of this movie. But Nick, thank you so much
Seriously.
for calling in and for being
it's a mess.
Welcome.
Thank
Thanks
you for
having
being
me.
a great member of the community, sir.
You're my favorite, Nick.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hello.
Hello, Chris. How the hell do you
Hey.
pronounce your last name again?
Koshan.
Koshan. I'm sorry I
I knew
botched
that.
it 6,000
That's
times
what I
in
was
the game
saying.
club. Whatever, Reeves. Welcome, sir. You went to GlitchCon last year, and we got to hang out in Minneapolis here a little bit. Are you going
Yeah.
again this year?
Of course I am.
Reiner, do you want to give the pitch for what GlitchCon is?
Yeah, GlitchCon is a 2-day event, video game focused event at the University of Minnesota. And while there's a focus on education, which obviously the school handles very well, focused on game education specifically.
Yeah.
Game Informer is also a big part of it. We have 2 things going on there. We have a panel that Kim is doing on diversity in games. That is on, I believe that is Saturday from 3 to 4.
What Saturday is this? What
April
month?
28th and 29th, I believe, or 29th, 30th, something like that. It's the Friday and Saturday.
Sure.
At the end of April. And then we are also doing a live super replay. Last year we did a live replay. This year we're doing a live super replay. We're playing through maybe 1, maybe 2 games.
We'll see.
We might have some other games set up, tournaments, stuff like that.
We have Tim Turry flying in.
He's going to be
yeah.
a part of it.
back.
We're going to have a bunch of editors cycling in and out.
Yeah.
of us playing through these games and having the community there and being able to be a big part of it.
So Google GlitchCon, you can still get tickets.
Yes,
Coming out with us. It'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to that
everybody,
environment.
most Game Informer people will be there, and we're going to be walking around, talking, having a good time, drinking, eating, after party, all that stuff. Should be a blast.
I'm getting my tickets right now, right after I like, share, and subscribe to this podcast.
I don't like hearing this cavalier attitude toward having fun.
Hey, Chris, what do you want to talk about, sir?
I have an Overwatch question. So I know that Tack's been on point for a lot of that coverage. So
Absolutely.
if anybody else has any opinions on it, but I was wondering if you think, because I know that Reaper of Souls was kind of like surprisingly very, very well received on consoles, and I was wondering if you think the support is going to be day and date for consoles, and also if you think that, do you think the console community is really gonna grasp it, and do you think it's going to have like a long, thriving community?
Yes, I would hope so. The game is incredible. Obviously, we're not in review territory yet, but we've got to play it extensively in closed beta.
And Dan just reviewed it.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Anyway, it's going to be about whether they can keep up patch parity. You're right. So what I'm guessing, and they've already announced, all characters and maps for this game will be provided free. So there won't be any like community breakups like that. They're not going to break up the community by that way. So as long as they kind of like package things into like juicy patches and updates that there's just like, here's 3 characters, here's 3 maps, and put those out, I think they'll have a much easier time than the constant, frequent balance updates what we're used to seeing on PC titles. As to whether the console community gravitates to it, I don't know yet. I'm guessing they will. It's a fantastic game.
Now you see something like Bethesda working on Fallout. They have it on the 3 systems as well. They want to bring all those updates to all 3, but they are leading on PC. That's their easiest to iterate on. Blizzard obviously knows PC better than anyone. I'm going to guess that they'll probably lead on PC, just knowing how that business is run in the past, but we'll see. This is a time of innovation, and consoles are becoming a big part of the conversation.
This is a big push for Blizzard taking this game to console, for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm excited for Reiner to play Blizzard games again.
Yeah. It'll be,
Jump into Overwatch, man.
We'll see. Maybe I'll move to PC at that point.
Only play mouse and keyboard. It's the only way to go. You're garbage if you don't do it.
Yeah.
Okay. You looking forward to it, Chris?
Oh yeah, it's my most anticipated game of the year.
It should be.
I take it you've been playing it on PC then, right?
No, my PC is an absolute can opener of a system.
Can't you go to a friend's place? You could play this game right now.
What makes you so excited for it then? Are you
I've actually, who got me really, really excited for it was talking to Tack about it last year.
Okay.
He had played it at BlizzCon, I believe.
Right.
And he told me bluntly, he said, this is the future of multiplayer gaming.
Whoa.
I meant it.
Now he thinks it's Clash Royale, but back then it really looked like a contender.
He also told Matt Helgeson that Undertale was like the greatest thing ever.
It is.
It is.
And now he's like,
No.
You said it was the greatest game ever made to Matt Helgeson.
No, maybe close to that.
Really?
Yeah.
Stardew Valley
made.
makes me
fantastic.
just lament ever praising Undertale.
Oh,
it is a turd in the rear view mirror compared to Stardew Valley.
That's awful.
It was one of my
That's
favorite
really
games of the
nasty.
year last year. But Chris, thank you for calling in. You are truly the Lord Regent of all things Game Informer community. So thank you. You're the best.
Thank you, Chris.
All right,
We love you.
see you all in a month.
You're
All
my
right,
favorite.
bye. We have another call. Maybe one more.
Yep, we got Alex.
Cool.
Alex.
Hello, Alex.
I'm not Alex,
Oh,
but
I hit the wrong button.
Oh, we got a different
Hang on,
call.
who's this guy? Who's this guy?
Demetrius.
Oh, hi,
Cardillo.
Demetrius. Yeah, welcome. Welcome to the Game Informer Show, sir. What's happening?
Yeah, not much. Might sound weird because I'm kind of sick right now, but
You don't sound like
No, I
normal
wasn't-
Demetrius.
No.
huh?
You sound like
You sound really sick, man.
Yeah,
Reeves.
well,
Are you dying?
the flu. I feel like it, but I really hope not. That would
Cool.
kind of blow.
Well, what do you want to talk about, sir?
Well, I couldn't really think of anything much, but I did start thinking about GlitchCon. I really want to go. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to because I'm 18. I live with my parents, so if I go, I'd have to go with them. And
You're
we're
welcome.
all
Come.
super nervous about flying from Florida to Minnesota because planes and stuff.
What?
So I was kind of wondering, since you guys travel a lot, what are your kind of I guess, ways to get over fears of traveling and flying.
This is a good question. We've never had a question like this in the show.
Never. I thought this was going a different direction.
Yeah, me too.
So
wow.
So
I was scared of flying when I was really young, and then I did it once, and I fell in love with it. I travel almost every month, and I still always thoroughly enjoy the mood of the airport.
With that.
Like when I was a baby.
But that's not really helping the situation.
I think you should savor the insanity of it and look out the window and enjoy the hell out of it. I'm the worst person to ask about
Yeah,
this.
you are.
It's like you're in a chair in the sky. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
what are you scared of, Dantec?
So as someone who travels a lot now, but there's certainly had irrational fears about flying. Certainly, for in my 20s probably.
Okay.
I didn't do it much. Once I started doing a lot, it really goes away quick. But there are ways to temper that too. And one thing you might want to consider is to talk to your doctor for some medication for that. They do that. I was able to get rid of it. Like I used it for like 2 flights, and I'm just like whatever. but it does help a lot. Like it'll just put you into a calm state.
Sure.
Now TAC just stares death in the eye.
Yeah, now I don't care. But,
Stares the pilot
It's
in
just
the
because
eye.
you do it so much, right? And
Sure.
and you do realize, like eventually look up some engineering stuff. Like you'll understand, like the redundancy plans on those things are ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're more likely to like die stubbing your toe.
And
It's
no, seriously. And
Yeah.
the other thing, when you're experiencing turbulence, every flight's going to have a little bit where the plane bumps. Think about it in relation to being in a car and when you're on the road and how much that's moving. And think about that. Like you went over a little bump that's like maybe 3-4 centimeters high. You're moving more than you are in that plane. That plane is barely budging when it's experiencing
I
turbulence.
think turbulence is fun personally because you have to realize that like
this guy's insane.
I know, no, but really, because it's like
To a degree.
This is literally what the plane was built for, and I can look out the window and see the wing kind of moving a little bit with the turbulence. Like, cool, this is what was expected. I just don't want something unexpected to pop up.
Except for that
which
one
it
time
won't.
there
I
was
understand.
a
This-
man on the plane.
That's right. Why don't people talk about the man on the wing?
That was weird.
But yeah, it is your safest means of travel, right? Like if you drove from Florida to Minnesota, there is a greater chance of something happening than on the plane.
Demetrius, what's your favorite flying game? Maybe you could play like Ace Combat ahead of time or something.
Watch
right
Castaway
now,
before you go.
Luftwaffes. I
Which
guess
one?
It's like
Luftwaffes.
Luftwaffes or something
yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah, that sounds
That's pretty
great.
much what it's like.
Yeah, go back play the Snoopy game on 360.
You could also fly naked.
I also recommend
You'd be
bringing
so
like
distracted.
bring
you
like a
wouldn't even
handheld device on your flight.
Yeah.
Just
watch
zone
something.
out.
Yep,
Yeah.
watch something.
Well, we hope you make it to GlitchCon, Demetrius.
care. Hey man.
Yeah, we'd love to see
Yeah,
you in
I'm
person.
really hoping to.
All right.
But I was going to ask one more thing.
Sure.
This might be like, I don't want it to be too long of a question, but what are like some ways to, I don't know, kind of meet you guys and like do's and don'ts? Because I always hear people who like fans meeting like, Greg Miller or something like that. And it might be like an awkward experience. And I don't really know how to like just kind of go up to people and be like, hey, I'm so-and-so.
Yeah.
So I was
Greg
kind of
Miller's
wondering,
great with
like, what are
fans,
some
but-
do's and
That's-
don'ts?
That's all you do is just go up to him and say, "Hey, I'm Demetrius."
Yeah.
Or,
So as long as if we're
appreciate what
if
you
we're at a
do.
show or something, it's just come up to us and say hi. Do not
If we're
hang
asleep
out
in our
outside the
bed,
office and wait for us to come out of work.
Yeah. Or if the other thing is just be polite of what's going on. If someo's at a dinner, don't go up to the dinner.
Yeah.
You just never things you never do in real life. Don't do that to other people.
I could never do anything like that. Like,
Well, something I always
just bothering
appreciate
somebody.
with fans too is I don't like the feeling like we had it a lot at the GameStop Expo, where we're sitting there like signing posters and all that crap, and people would come through and be like, "Hi, I like your work. I like your work." It's like, okay, thanks. That's great, but don't be afraid to show like what a super fan you are. I'm not talking about like gushing, but just being like, "Hey, I followed Replay for years. I know these episodes. These are my favorites." Like I always
Mention
like
a specific thing.
Yeah, I like knowing like what level of fan or what you like specifically. So like if you go up to Dantec, he won't look you in the eye. He'll keep walking. But if you tug at his coat,
that is not true.
and turn around and be like, "Hey, I loved those Dark Souls super replays." Stuff like that. I always love specificity, and it helps break the ice too.
Yeah.
we're
I agree
very
to that.
approachable,
Yeah.
honestly.
And we're at GlitchCon to meet you people. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the big thing is that's why we are doing this is to interact with you and get to know you and kind of let you be build this community together.
Yeah.
So feel free. I mean, come up to all of us. We're there for that reason specifically.
Yeah, but we hope to see you at GlitchCon, Demetrius.
All right. I hope I can make it.
Yeah.
All right, take
Good
care,
luck,
man.
See ya.
Bye.
Here, yeah.
Hello, Alex.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to the Game Informer Show.
Oh my God.
You're on with Reiner, Tech, Reeves, the best of the best.
Hello.
You're not
I
wrong.
am. Hello.
Hey, thanks for calling in, man. What do you want to talk about?
Okay, well, you guys said to come up with a question.
Yes.
So I came up with one like really, really quickly off the top of my head.
God, I hope it's about food.
Me too.
No, well, I mean, no. Okay, so I've been getting back into Mass Effect pretty recently, and I gotta ask, do you prefer manship or femship?
Great question.
Interesting question.
I always go femshep. And I'm not like there's the creepers out there like, yeah, I'd rather look at a chick's butt than a guy's butt. So forget that.
Does that make you a creeper?
No, it does. I think I like rooting for the underdog, and the stats show that fewer people play femshep. I think with Mass Effect specifically, that the voice acting is 1,000 times better.
Yes, female voice acting is way better in Mass Effect.
I hear a lot more praise for femshep.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I went back and I started a male shep, and it just felt so off. And it's like, not my shepherd.
Tech, who did you play as?
Femshep.
Really?
Were we all femshep?
Yeah, I was femshep.
I was actually male shep. But
Boo!
get out of here. I played
it's okay.
the
Red
first
hair?
one both ways.
Red hair? No, I don't go for like the iconic one that was on our cover.
Okay.
No, I kind of go for like dark hair, African American, long, stretchy.
We're learning a lot
long
about
and
you today,
stretchy?
Hanson.
So the weird thing is, I didn't do it like kind of the iconic one from the covers or whatever, but it was Captain Janeway from Star Trek.
Nerd.
It was kind of what I was trying to do when I made her
That's
originally.
super nerdy.
So that was kind of the look I went with.
And did you like role play the personality to fit the
I did.
Star Trek
I
mold?
just heard her voice in my head the whole time.
Alex, what about you? Are you a femshep or a male shep?
Well, let's see. The first time I went through the game, I played as male shep. Second time, I was female shep. I gotta say, I kind of dig male shepherd for some reason.
Get
I know
the
that's
hell
not, like,
off
the
our
popular
line.
thing to
Way to
say,
hang up
but-
on this idiot.
Hey, Alex, I'm with you.
Yes.
Everybody loves female shep, and I agree she did a great job. But people like
Oh, absolutely.
bag on male shep like he did a bad job.
He's
No.
fine.
He did fine.
Oh yeah,
he did great.
He's fine.
He's quantum
He's
break
fine. He's
cutscene
fine.
level.
fine.
He's fine, Dan Tack. He's as fine as Batman.
Yeah.
versus
Is it
Superman.
weird, Alex, to go back and play female shep then, just because it feels like it's not your character?
It kind of was. Let's see. Yeah, since I've only played through it twice, I felt like I had such like because the first time I went through it, it was over the course of a few years. I got into it with the second one, and then when the third game came out, I was like, all right, I'm gonna finish like my Mass Effect story, and then I started over and played as female Shepard just to see what everybody was talking about. And yeah, maybe that's why I didn't feel that same kind of connection.
Yeah,
with
maybe I
female
feel
Shepard,
maybe I
but-
feel the same thing, Alex. We're coming from different sides of the fence, brother.
I gotta know, who did we romance? Who was your first romance option?
Oh, her name was Kari. No, let's see. It was, holy Lord, the Asari. Why can't I think of her name?
Liara.
Thank you. Good Christ. It's been a long time. Mass Effect. Yeah, Liara. I loved it. And I loved that Mass Effect 2 that just was not an option. So Mass Effect 3 was like going hot and heavy, getting back in on that. What about you guys?
Mine was Ashley actually, which I felt bad about later on, and I'm like, I wish I had not pursued you.
It's like marrying
Yeah.
someone and finding out they're horrific racist.
Yeah, kind of. Well, and then there's also that scene where are we worried about spoilers at all?
For which?
For the first game.
Oh, no.
Where she I had a dialogue sequence where she shot Rex, and that
Yeah.
pissed me off so much
amazing.
that I was like, well, I'm done romancing you actually. So
I made a
like,
mistake.
That might be
pursued
like
Liara
that might
instead.
be my favorite moment of the generation. Like I've talked about it on the podcast before, but like slowly getting vengeance on Ashley for that move is like
Yeah.
my favorite thing.
I was so pissed. I was
Dan?
so pissed.
This question, I'm mortified of it because I don't remember.
What?
I don't remember.
Oh,
You callous monster!
Was yours
I bet they remember.
I bet they do, but I
was
don't.
your shepherd just asexual?
It was just hit it and quit it, you know.
Wow.
Tax style.
Jeez.
What about you, Reiner?
Was his name Jacob?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta remember he's Jacob.
The funny
he was
thing
a
I
good
remember
kisser.
is,
That one
you know,
guy.
when they have the sex scene where they have the males shirtless, it's like they didn't think about like his chest size outside of the armor, so it'd be like the same size. It was almost like he was wearing a girdle, and then when the armor came off, it's like boom,
Just like
Oh,
reskinned.
he's just this huge guy under there, and I was just like, wow.
I always loved it.
But
he
he was just such a cool character.
He was a really good character.
I thought
was
they
a little
were,
whiny about his dad, but yeah.
and I also cheated on him with one of the crew. I can't
said I
remember.
was a bad
it
guy for
the,
forgetting.
The
I
doctor?
hope it was Edie.
It might have been the doctor.
Oh, okay. That's fun.
The older doctor lady?
Yeah, or no, we might have just had a bottle of champagne together.
Yeah,
but
that's a
there
thing.
was a redhead on
cheating.
there.
That's emotional cheating, Reiner.
I want to say I can't remember. Someone on the crew you could
Yeah,
romance.
that sounds familiar. I always love Jeff Cork talking about Tally because somebody's talking about romancing Tally. He goes, "What do you do? Rub up against her scuba suit?" Good stuff. All
What
right.
about you, Alex? Did
Yeah,
you share
yeah,
yours?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Let's see. In the first game, I went with Ashley, and I realized later in Mass Effect 2 that was a mistake. So
We
I
all
went
have
with
them.
Tally, and Tally was my main girl for the rest of the series, and I have no regrets about that.
That scuba
No
suit
regrets.
wearing.
Yeah, you get to see your wonderful Getty image face at the end
Oh
there.
my
It's everything
God,
you
that
wanted.
was So,
All right. Well, hey,
I don't even want to think about that.
I'm so sorry for bringing back the worst parts of Mass Effect. But thank you for calling in, Alex. We appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for calling me.
All right. Take care.
See ya.
All right. Hey, guys, we have a really good community.
Yeah, that was great.
Is
That
it
was
absurd?
fun.
There's not one Baba Booey throughout the entire
Did you really
chain.
think there was going to be a Bob
I
Bowie?
would love it. I would be so good. I guess Dan Tack is our Baba
was
Booey with
kind
that
of-
Batman
He kinda is,
Superman
yeah.
garbage.
Yeah.
Anyways,
come on.
whatever.
I'm just having a good time.
You had a lot of fun, actually. I could see it.
Yeah, that was
I'm just having a good time on the show. Isn't that what you want me here for?
That's true. In the future, remember to write in emails to podcast@gameinformer.com. It's tough to award question of the week over Skype, so I guess we won't.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for everybody doing it. And remember, podcast@gameinformer.com is where you send feedback in the future. And for now, let's move on to the interview segment where we're going to be joined by Kyle and talking all about Conan O'Brien and gaming with Aaron, his co-pilot. Aaron, welcome to the Game Informer Show, sir.
Thank you for having me. I'm in my sister's car, so this is going to be really fun.
Great. If you're watching the YouTube version of the show, it's a real treat. You get a hot LA street in the background. It's everything you want.
Another car right here.
Let's get their license plate in there so we can get a lot more information going.
Exactly.
So, Aaron, people know you as the guy who knows a surprising amount about video games that sits next to Conan O'Brien during the Clueless Gamer segments.
That's true. It's hard to fit onto a resume. But that's exactly what I do.
Where do you come from? What's going on here? How do you know so much?
Well, that's a good question. It's weird. I think, interestingly enough, I've always loved video games. It's weird I'm kind of in this position because I've always loved video games and grew up with them, obviously, and enjoy playing them. But, Clueless Gamer kind of all came about in a very weird, funny way, which was one day I just kind of pitched this idea. Conan's so smart. And he spent his life kind of learning smart things like history and went to Harvard and
who the second president is.
What's that?
Who the second president is.
Yes, right. Exactly. And I went to Michigan State, which is a great school, but I didn't really pay attention there, so I never lived up to my potential. And so one day I was just kind of like, what's something that I could be smart at that Conan would be dumb at? And I was video games. He doesn't know. I bet you he doesn't know anything about video games. And lo and behold, he didn't know anything about video games. And we just, Conan's so great. He's always like, let's try it. Like with pretty much any idea, he's really open to that kind of yes and philosophy. So we did a couple and people really liked him. And now it's become this thing where I'm like this video game guy, which I love and is fantastic. But it's extremely weird because I never was really, I never defined myself as that, but I'm absolutely loving it. So
it's nice.
So it's great, and now I get paid to play video games, which is pretty amazing.
That's nice. What was your position on the show before the whole Clueless Gamer thing?
It was and still is a digital producer. So I still do stuff on the web, and that came about. This is like my maybe 6th job on the show. I kind of started as an intern, and then worked my way up as an assistant and through research and then kind of into this web thing. And so it's been a very weird, cool ride, but something that I absolutely love because, I really love talking to our fans and I get to be on the absolute cutting edge of that on the internet. And, I love performing. I love writing. I love producing. And now with this internet culture, that is kind of what people are doing now. These YouTube stars write all of their own stuff. They're in it. And I feel like kind of specialization. This is getting deep very quickly.
Please, no, man, go deeper.
I kind of feel like specialization is going the way of the dodo in terms of, now, I'm talking to you right now on my cell phone from a car in Van Nuys, and you could shoot a movie on a cell phone. You can edit on a cell phone. You can do everything. So people really now are learning a whole host of things and skills, and everyone's skill set is just exploding. And so these days of like a person who does one thing is kind of, I think, evaporating. And so which I think is good, because for every everything and everything you learn, every facet of creativity only informs every other facet. You're a better writer if you know how it's going to be performed. You're a better editor if you're shooting it. These kinds of things. So it's really fantastic.
Yeah, it's a nice way to branch out with your job and become more of a foundation in the show. But it's just interesting, like, I think Kyle and I both grew up with Conan, and obviously both grew up with video games. And so when those segments started popping up, it's like, okay, Conan, I expect him to be funny. This guy sitting next to him, everybody, I think, on the gaming side was just like, all right, let's wait for this piece of shit to not know what he's talking about. Let's see how it goes. And you never let us down. It's always like, oh no, he knows exactly who all those Smash Brothers characters are. He knows the history of these companies. He knows everything. Like, it's perfect.
Well, I will say, it's funny because, I play video games in for fun. So I do have a working knowledge of a lot of video games, but some video games, like for instance, Super Smash Brothers, you bring up a good example, because I like Super Smash Brothers and I've played it, but I certainly am no expert by any means. And I don't know a lot of the history of a lot of those Nintendo characters. So that took a lot of studying. And, because again, like, I do kind of feel like I don't want to let people down. And especially because, Conan almost every single time does not see the game till we sit down and shoot. Most times he's seeing, and for good reason, the first time he sees a game is when the cameras are rolling, because, it's so much better to get his genuine reactions and stuff. And that's I say that 99% that's true 99% of the time, not always, because for some Clueless gamers we've shot, like the Super Bowl gamers come to mind. Mm-hmm. He wants to be prepared, and not, because it's not totally about the game for those. It's also about these people. So he doesn't want to have to, the Clueless gamers that are less exploratory, it's important that he kind of sees the game and knows at least it's a fighting game or whatever we're going to be doing. So, but yeah, I don't want to let the audience down. I want the game to be portrayed well. I want him to, the more he knows about the game and the more I can tell him about the game, the more he can kind of react to it. So, it's like one of those things where the setup in a joke is equally or more important than the punchline a lot of times. Sure. And I really am the straight man. I'm the setup there. So it's important that I set Conan up as well as I can and really give him an open field to be as funny as possible, and give him, as many different areas to go into with the game. So, but that is something I really stress about. And I'll study for like a week or 2 weeks all about the game and the history if I don't know it. Like I played Halo, but I I didn't know every single thing, about the Forerunners and, like all, what was it, the 343 Spark and all these things. Like,
Conan was bound to ask a lot about the Forerunners, I think. Yeah, this is the countdown.
Yeah. So, because you play the game, and a lot of times I'm playing these games, and in my personal life, I'm sure like you guys do too, and you just want to kill things or you want to blow stuff up.
Sure.
You're not paying attention to every single aspect of the storytelling. So
that's what Wikipedia is for.
So you're really going like way into, like, Halo's a good example. You're really going in to find out all the lore, like questions. Like,
I like to know as much as possible about every game we're playing, not just the mechanics of it, because I don't want to get in trouble during a shoot. Like, what does B do? No idea. Yeah. But also, like I said, because the more I can tell Conan about the game, then the more he can be creative and be funny and all that stuff. So,
and the more he can kind of pounce on you, right, to make fun of you for being a nerd, I guess, right?
Say that again?
I said the more he can, the more the more he has the opportunity to pounce on you, right?
Yes.
For knowing far too much.
It's interesting because I think, I've known him for a long time. I mean, I've been working for the show since 2001, and I went to his wedding and all these things, and so we're really good friends. And he knows it's a very safe space. And so, everybody kind of is like, oh my God, he punches you. But that's a good thing. I like that. Uh-huh. He comes from a lot of brothers, and he's like, I beat you up because I can't hit my brothers, you know. So it's really it's a show of affection. So I really enjoy that, and he trusts me to set him up and to make sure that he's going to know what he needs to know about the game. That we've come up with good areas for him to play around in, these things, and that's why that trust between two performers is so important. I don't know if you guys have any. Do you guys have any improv training or any of that stuff?
I've listened to a lot of improv.
Yeah, we like to imagine that we do, but certainly not.
Well, this is improv right now. I mean, even talking to people is improv. And
no, it's not.
No, but I will say, you guys know, interviewing people,
sure,
that trust is so important to get a good product. At the end of the day, an interviewer, I have to trust that you are going to ask me good questions and not make me look like an a-hole, more than I make myself look like an a-hole, which
naturally
is a lot.
Sure. Well, I wanted to ask you about Conan specifically, because I've heard interviews with him where he talks about how he wants the entire show to be quality content, and he kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure you know 1,000 times more than I do, but he seems to kind of rebel a little bit against kind of the late night format of just kind of having a 4-minute good gimmick, a good novelty twist that'll do well on YouTube. And it seems like the Clueless Gamer sections are kind of like the exceptions to that rule.
I think that what's fun, I think, about Clueless Gamer that he really enjoys is I think he Conan, again, is very smart, and he's been performing for a really long time. So anytime you can kind of introduce a new idea or a new concept or any of those things, something he hasn't explored before. I mean, you look at Conan's repertoire or catalog of bits he's done, of remotes he's done. I mean, try to think of something off the top of your head that he hasn't done. Cable Guy, he's done it. Like Called Horse Races, he's done it. Driven in an Uber with Kevin Hart and Ice Cube, he's done it.
Old-timey baseball.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So, I think it's exciting for him to venture into these new areas. And that's one thing, we've been doing a lot of these travel shows. And I think he gets very excited because, he kind of sees this as a new way to stretch his legs, both comedically and intellectually. I mean, he's a very smart guy. And so I think with Clueless Gamer, I think that's one thing he really loves about that. And it's a new thing for him. Something he doesn't know a lot about, and he has a lot of fun, doing that. I mean, it's so inspiring to work with him, not just because he's so smart and obviously he's like a razor sharp comedic mind. I mean, he is truly brilliant, and just elevates anything you give him. He will make it better, which is great, which is also why I like to do my homework, because anything I can give him, he just will make 1,000 times better.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, anytime you can bring him a new idea, that's a seed of a thing. He just latches onto it and goes to it. So that's one thing I think he really loves about Clueless Gamer.
Yeah, and it's like a cheaper segment to produce than going on the road for, that little 10-minute thing that you cut it down to. Plus, like, it seems like the internet reacts so well to it. Like, why not keep it going?
Well, sure. Yeah. I mean, we like to please our fans. Our fans, people love us, and that lets us work. That gives us a paycheck. And so, I'm constantly have this attitude of being grateful, and I'm a huge fan. Obviously, I was a fan of Conan before I started. I'm a huge fan of other things, and so I know what it's like to be a fan, and those people keep us employed. So I constantly feel a debt to them to give them the greatest product we can and entertain them the most. And if they love us talking about video games, I am more than happy, not just to play video games, but to make them happy. I mean, it's entertainment. And so we want to make people laugh. And if us shooting in a conference room that looks like the room Joe Pesci was shot in Goodfellas, makes people, gives people 6 minutes out of their day where they can, be happy, that's all any of us can ask for. And again, I think you talk about like easier to shoot or harder to shoot. I think that a good idea trumps all of that. So it's kind of like I'm very lucky personally producing these segments that it's an easy thing to do. He just walks down to the end of the hall for him and sits down and we shoot. I mean, that's great. But also, even if we had to do it on the moon, if it's like, oh man, we got to fly to the moon again to shoot this thing. If it's a great idea, it's worth going to the moon for.
Yeah.
And that's why these travel shows are fun. So.
Yeah, you guys went to Cuba, for Christ's sake. You're not scared of going on a little adventure.
Well, speaking of that, Speaking of that, there's that YouTube clip of you. You guys went to Korea, right? And there's that clip of you just getting there's that huge crowd. Like, what was happening there? Were they there for Conan, or were they they were chanting Aaron, weren't they? I mean, they were there for you.
Yes, that was very exciting, and that again, a very humbling experience. That was extremely exciting. You know, we knew that it's interesting. It's the first time kind of Conan had announced that he was going to be somewhere before he was. So that was kind of interesting. And especially for my job, you know, doing social media things, that was interesting because it let us kind of put out, you know, Instagrams of Conan, like, here I am, I'm doing this, kind of real time, which is really fun. And yeah, that was crazy because we showed up and, you know, we had gotten there, you know, with Jason Shalemi, our field producer, and the camera guys and myself, we had arrived a little bit before Conan to kind of scout out locations and these things. And so when we got to the airport, you know, I'm there and my job here is support, and I'm going to take photos and do behind the scenes stuff and all that stuff. And there were like 2,000 people in the airport. And I was like, wow, like this is, I mean, they had signs. It was absolutely incredible and really, really cool to see. And then, you know, because I'm also on the show, you know, like it was really interesting. Like one person kind of was like, hey, Blay. And I was like, hey. And, you know, I always like meeting people. And, you know, we took a selfie. And then kind of 3 people turned around. They're like, hey, Blay. I was like, hey. And then they kind of took pictures. Then like 25 people turned around. Then like 200 people turned around. And then they all kind of come in. And it was really, really crazy. And, you know, Conan shows up and all these, and then people went nuts for him, which is great. But then they all left with security. And so I am like trying to take photos behind them. And Conan kind of gets in the car and leaves. And then everyone is like, wait, Aaron's still here. And all turned around and then all kind of mobbed me because they love video games there. And I was a big celebrity in Korea. And so that was crazy. And then I was just like by myself. Which was a little scary, but very cool. And you know, what I learned from that was that people kind of mirror your energy. So if you're crazy or whatever, they're crazy. And then if you're chill, you're like, hey guys, cool. Hey, how you doing? Then they're like, oh, hey, what's up? You know, so, but yeah, that was really crazy. And then they were giving us stuff. And there was an interesting moment, you know, when I was leaving too, when we left, you know, there were people at the airport when we were leaving. And there was this really interesting moment where I was in security and there was a sliding glass door. And so it would open, someone would leave and it would open like, and they would just be like, Aaron, and then it'd be like, and it would close. And then like 2 seconds later, Aaron, and then like, so it was incredibly surreal. And like I said, very humbling. I mean, yeah, we had such a great time. Those people are just absolutely phenomenal and great. And I was really sad to leave. I mean, it was just, everyone was very, very nice. And it was, really, really humbling and cool to see that. Because, you know, we do a show almost every day and we do it, we're all friends. And so there is a certain sense from the other side of the curtain of where we're producing this show, where you kind of get into this mode of, you're very concerned with, okay, this comedy bit and this, what color should the hat be? And how is this? And what about this? And you kind of forget that you're putting on this show that other people are going to see, you know? So you kind of feel like you're in a treehouse making cookies with the rest of the elves. And then you forget that people see this show. And so we go out and people are like, oh my God. And it means so much to them. I mean, people came up to Conan and were like, I learned English from watching your show. And it's just so humbling and beautiful. And you're like, that's right. Like other people see this show that we make. We're not just doing it for ourselves.
Right.
You know, it's like, so it's very cool. That was really nice to see.
So you talk about like, you know, doing it for the fans and it gets such a good reaction. I know it's kind of like earlier on in the series, it seemed like you did more fan voting online to figure out like what Conan should play. And you ended up playing the Atari and Minecraft for 360, stuff like that. And it seems like now it's becoming more kind of preview focused, where it seems like I'd imagine publishers are reaching out to you. Can you talk about that evolution and kind of where Clueless Gamer is now in terms of how attractive is it for publishers?
Sure. I mean, I think, it's interesting you say it as an evolution because, like, again, from the other side of the curtain, I guess I didn't really think about that because I'm more thinking about, you know, like what we've done and what we want to do. I mean, I have like a lot of plans for Clueless Gamer that are in the works that we're doing, which is very cool. So I think of it evolving kind of a different way. I mean, yes, it has. I guess we have done several previews, which is extremely cool. But you know, some of my favorite ones have been like the Atari 2600 was very cool.
For sure.
And you know, we're going to be doing some of those also. And the Halo one was very cool. That took me like a year and a half to put together.
The Halo 5 or 4?
The Halo 5, where we played against the Silicon Valley guys. Because I was like, man,
that's right.
Yeah, because so many video games, you know, we'd never really done a multiplayer experience, and that's such a big aspect. That's a big, section of gaming, and kind of the same thing when we went to BlizzCon, and Conan kind of called that wasn't a Clueless gamer so much as, but you know, like he kind of. We saw the competition. He did a little bit of like color commentary on those games, and that was fun. Yeah, I guess we have done some previous stuff, which is cool. And you know, I guess what I'll say is it's interesting to me because I think video games are at a very interesting time, and I've said this before, but it bears repeating. If I could paraphrase myself,
please do.
I kind of see video games right now as where film was in the 30s.
Sure.
So. Video games have a ton of money, right? The industry makes gobs of money. Everybody plays video games, but it doesn't really hit the mainstream. It's weird. It doesn't have this mainstream, you know, like my mom knows video games because I'm into them, and, you know, she loves Wii and all that stuff. But, you know, in terms of like Call of Duty, these other games haven't really hit the mainstream. They're starting to, and in the next, 4 or 5 years, obviously they will.
I feel like it's kind of unconsciously hit the mainstream. Like whenever we go out and talk to people, they're always like, "Oh, video games? No, I don't play video games. I've never touched a video game in my life." And it's like, "Oh, you mean Wii Sports? Yeah, I guess I played that a lot." Yeah. "Oh, you mean like Candy Crush? Well, yeah, I play that on my phone 3 times a day." It's just people are hesitant to call themselves gamers. It's kind of a dumb term, right. But it is subtly mainstream.
It is subtly mainstream, and that's what I mean. Is like people still hesitate to call themselves gamers. And I don't think really we will hit that point where everyone calls themselves a gamer. I think video games will just be something everyone does. Like, I don't call myself a TV watcher.
Right, exactly.
But I do it. I don't call myself a web user. And why would I say web user? But, I do it.
As a fellow web user. Yeah.
And have you guys seen the movie The Last Waltz? Have you seen that movie?
No.
About the band?
Okay, The Last Waltz. Have you ever heard of The Band? It's a band from the 60s called The Band. It was Bob Dylan's backing band.
Sure,
you know that at all?
Yeah.
Robbie Robertson, Von Helm, these guys. Movie The Last Waltz, and just follow me on this.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not really filmers,
Right.
We're moviers.
I'm not banders, but
well played. But The Last Waltz is a documentary about the last concert of the band, and the band was this very famous band, and it's a great concert movie directed by Martin Scorsese, unbelievably great. And there's a point in which this guy Lee Von Helm, who's the drummer of the band, is talking about rock and roll. He's talking about Elvis Presley and why Elvis Presley became so big. And he kind of makes the point that him and Robbie Robertson are talking, and he makes the point that everyone. Like before Elvis, everyone was going to these county fairs and seeing people dance and listening to this music that was rock and roll and like really getting down. And then so when Elvis hit, it wasn't so much that Elvis was doing something new. It was the opposite. He was a lightning rod for what everyone was already doing. So then it's like, people look back and like, oh, Elvis, like, okay, but like, no, like he was doing all this stuff that people were already enjoying. That's why they liked him. And that's kind of how I feel about video games and a little bit about, like kind of what we're doing, or either Clueless Gamer. And please do not think I am comparing Elvis to Clueless Gamer.
Well, that's the headline for the podcast now, Aaron. I'm sorry.
Aaron Bleyaert thinks he's Bob Dylan.
Egomaniac in a car.
What I'm saying, though, is when you look at, like these YouTube, like Let's Play, or you look at Smosh games, you look at us, or you look at all these people, we are really kind of lightning rods for what people are already doing.
Right.
And it's not so much that we're doing something, it's not so much that Conan is commentating on these games as much as he's saying what everyone else is thinking.
Look at that lady's butt.
What's that?
I said, look at that lady's butt.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Well, what I'm thinking of.
Okay, sure, naturally.
Or look at his own butt in Fallout 4. Right?
There we go.
That's right.
Muscular ass. He doesn't care that he's destroying zombies with a amazing flamethrower, or ghouls, sorry, but he's thinking about, look at that muscular ass. That's what he's thinking. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so in that way, I think I think of, like that's kind of when I think of Clueless Gamer, what I'm trying to kind of do with that is kind of give a voice, like what are people playing? What do people want to see? Like all these things. And a lot of times it is previews. Like people like to see games that haven't come out yet. People are talking about them. But there's also like I really love, I just got a Steam rig up and running. So I've really been playing a lot of these games that are like super hot. I'm obsessed with super hot right
so
now.
Good. Yeah.
So good. And I love any games that show me something new and something different are absolutely fantastic and blow me away.
Yeah.
There's two things I love. It's like I love new things and new things in video games I haven't seen.
Yeah.
I love great storytelling in games. And so with Clueless Gamer, like that's kind of, I'm trying to it's a weird balance because there's not a lot of huge platforms out there, huge regular platforms on television where people are talking about video games. So it's trying to kind of please the masses as well as kind of pleasing myself and what I think Conan would be good at. So.
Yeah. It's interesting to me to think of you guys kind of becoming your own press outlet for these video game publishers, though. I mean, just in our line of work, publishers are they can be so uptight about how their games are presented, especially showing gameplay footage, especially for something that's not out yet, like you mentioned, like a lot of preview stuff that you're doing. And so I'm fascinated by their decision and what they have to weigh between like, well, it's a great audience. People really like it. People watch the hell out of these things. But Conan's going to intentionally play this game like garbage and probably not show it in the best light.
I mean, he is way more clueless than, I wish you got like, wow. I mean, he is bad. He's worse than you think.
So
it's like, every single person who comes in, every developer comes in, they're like, oh, he's so bad. I'm like, just wait. Because it's like, go left. No, the other left. Hit the B. No, B. The red one. Right, this one. And then I'll just hit it. It's like, that's for every movement.
So what do they say? Do they want like final cut of this thing? How uptight and kind of anal are they about the way the games are presented?
What talking about in the very beginning, trust. I mean, I have no interest in showing how bad a game is. I want to make a funny piece that shows the game in a great light and us in a great light because everybody wins. A raising tide raises all boats. There's no why tear down a game. And again, so I think at this point they obviously realize that. We are in the business of comedy and we're in the business of being funny. We are a comedy show and I'm not interested in how many pixels, how much whatever. The parallax. I'm not interested in the angle of parallax.
Sure.
Making up words now. Unless it makes someone look like Louis C.K. or unless the parallax, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It's the end result there. So, and that's why, again, to me, like, I think that in these games, you'll hear him comment a lot on like the storytelling aspects or those kinds of things. Because that's kind of, to me, those are the more interesting areas than like the technical stuff that I think a lot of video game outlets maybe kind of get hung up on because there is a huge audience that people care about. They really care about that stuff, wow, like, and I'll look at the comments and some people will say like, oh, like this looks so much better on Xbox One or this looks, and I'm like, okay, yeah, like, but that's, for me as a comedian, that's not really something I care about unless there is something to be said about it. Unless, a mainstream person is going to say that about this game, then I don't feel like we need to really comment on it,
for sure.
And again, it's about having fun. It is about showing how fun it is to play these games and just, it's the same with a TV show. Like some TV shows take themselves really seriously. And isn't it fun to sit on your couch with someone and be like, this guy, isn't this, like, in that kind of a way? Like, that's kind of where we're coming from a more comedy angle rather than a technical background.
And the publishers and developers, they understand that. They know what they're getting into at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's what they want, and they get it. I mean, we're very upfront. I mean, Conan is always, what's so great about Conan is he's such a great guy. He's really genuine and very nice. And he kind of always says before we do these remotes with people, he'll be like, look, like, this is the deal. I'm the idiot. It's called Clueless Gamer, not Clueless Games. And he's schmuck and he plays that part very well when it comes to video games, and he likes playing that part. And so it's always very self-deprecating, you know, like a lot of times in games, it's if he is saying like, ooh, like, man, I want to be, can I talk to her? I mean, that's him being a perv, and that reflects on him. That's not reflecting on the game.
Right,
you know?
right.
So has he actually, because there's moments that I've seen now where it seems like he's genuinely enjoying video games. Has he started to like video games at all?
He does generally enjoy these games. Like, you know, if you watch the UFC one, he was giggling like a girl. I mean, you know, the amount of giggling we had to cut out was amazing. Hashtag over giggle. But you know what I'm saying?
But I mean,
really
but
does.
he's not going home and playing video games though, right? Like he's not quite there yet, right?
I don't know. You know, I know his son plays video games.
Okay.
So I think I think he does. It doesn't make him any better at the video games, unfortunately.
I'm trying to think of what games
is not coming through.
Yeah.
When he gets to the office.
I'm trying to think of like what games Conan O'Brien would like. Like he's a big Lincoln fan. Some like maybe Civilization. I could see him getting into that.
The one to me that I like, because I've been watching the series since the beginning. It was the Hitman episode where I was like, oh, I think he's actually really enjoying slaughtering all these people out in the field.
He really does. I mean, the thing is, like, these games are awesome. Like, the thing about video games are awesome. And here's why video games are awesome. Because video games are a form of proactive entertainment, right? So TV is reactive. You're sitting there, you're watching television. Okay, cool. In a video game, you are the character, right? You are playing it. You're making decisions that are affecting what's happening. And that is so much more powerful, just so much more emotionally powerful. I mean, like, some of my favorite moments in any storytelling have happened in video games. I remember in Halo, the first time the Flood shows up, and you're like, oh my God, what's it? It's like, boop, boop, and your thing's going crazy, your radar, and you're like, oh my God, and it's like horrifying. Like, that's as good or better a moment than in Aliens, when he's like, game over, man. You know, like, you are Bill Paxton's character in Halo in that moment. And, you know, like games like Braid, like, oh my God, like that's the end of Braid was incredibly soul crushing and amazing, you know? And so, you know, video games weave entertainment and storytelling into such a potent mix that really, I think now and this is why I say in the next kind of 5 years, like, we're really kind of only now getting, and you know, like, celebrities are getting this. Kevin Spacey, like Marshawn Lynch, all these people are being attracted to video games because they realize it is such a more powerful storytelling medium than it is than television or movies are. You know, I mean, the potential there is just absolutely thrilling.
Well, speaking of potential,
even in a game like Super Hot, which is not a super deep game, but like when things flash up and it's like, no way, like, you know, they want you, and like, oh, what is this? Like, I get so much more excited than like the last Game of Thrones. I'm just like, okay, yeah, that was cool seeing Jon Snow slaughter a bunch of snow monsters, but dude,
whoa, you're watching a very different Game of Thrones than I am.
But you talk about the potential and how, you know, games are going to be moving forward. But how's Clueless Gamer moving forward? Like, what do you have in the plan? I'd imagine there's a lot of people out there that want a more extended cut of these things. Have you ever considered that?
Yeah, we have. I mean, we've done kind of like some left on the cutting room floor stuff. You know, like we did Marshanisms, we did stuff at PewDiePie, which is really cool.
Yeah.
The reality, this is, I mean, how deep you want to get into a boring comedy stuff, but you know,
let's find out.
A lot of times extended cuts. Clueless Gamer is interesting because unlike a lot of other remotes, there rarely is a section that we'll shoot in a Clueless Gamer that we just cut out entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Kind of.
Right.
So, like, let's say we're doing, and when we're doing these Clueless Gamer things, you know, the games that I find the most attractive are games that have good firewalls between them. So, and by firewalls I mean aspects of the game that don't touch each other. So if there is, let's say, what's a good example? Well, let's take Fallout, for example. So there's the character select screen, right? Okay. Actually, it's not a great example, but let's take Fallout. Character select screen, okay? So let's say we do a bunch of stuff with the character select screen. Great. Then there is, let's say we have weapon customization. Great, we're going to make some crazy weapons. Okay. Now let's say we're going to use in Fallout 4, they have the house building thing. So we're going to do the house building. Great. Now we're going to do combat. We're going to do a cool, okay. So let's say, because Conan is kind of seeing this for the first time, let's say he doesn't take the bait on the character select screen. Okay, cool. Well, then we move on to another thing. And even if the character select stuff wasn't that funny, we can just slice that off and then use the rest of it. Does that make sense?
Right. So you don't want this ongoing storyline that you can't trim out certain sections of.
You don't want to paint yourself into a corner and get trapped into something in a piece where you have to, like, because our show is only a certain amount of time, and so it's very much about, like, we need to keep these tight. But rarely do we ever shoot something that would be funny. So, like, one aspect of something, a chunk of something that would be funny, that we would just cut completely.
Right.
We would use a couple jokes in there and then move on. So basically the stuff you're not seeing a lot of times is just stuff he just kind of didn't go for. You know? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So, and there's a lot of tighten up stuff. And it's hard for me as a fan of comedy to put something out that's an extended cut if it doesn't feel like it's got enough meat to it.
Right.
Now it seems the worst thing the absolute worst thing would be people thinking it's like a grab for more views, or we want to put something out to try to, like, squeeze more social media stuff out of it. I never want that to happen, because that's not where we're coming from. What we're coming from is, like, trying to give fans the best experience. Not even up to me. I mean, it's up to our head writer. It's up to Conan. You know, I'm not the last word on any of this stuff. I'm the low man on the totem pole. I like to call myself the concrete base, because I'm actually so far down on the totem pole, I'm below the ground. So
perfect. Well, I'd have to imagine, like, a big opportunity for just a wacky experience that Conan would probably be on board for is VR. Are you looking into VR at all for a possible Clueless gamer?
We have done. We just had a VR. We had some VR people in, and we're having more people in. Yeah. We've looked at VR for a while. He did Project Morpheus at E3, which was kind of fun with the beanbag and.
Yeah, that's right.
And,
okay.
So he's done it before.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I would love to do some kind of VR thing. I mean, that's kind of. When we talk about the evolution of Clueless Gamer, I mean, that's one thing. It's hard to get your arms around the entirety of the video game industry, because so many people are doing so many great things. But yeah, I would love to do some kind of VR stuff in the future. I also really want to do, a lot of really cool indie games that are out there and kind of explore those. I mean, since we started doing this Monday Melee, we do this Stream Coco thing. So we do a live video game stream every week on Mondays starting at noon. On Twitch and YouTube, and Periscope, I think. But that's fun, because that allows us to explore a lot of games that maybe wouldn't hold up under a Clueless Gamer thing, or we wouldn't want to do for Clueless Gamer, but still can play around with, and Conan can come in and play with the fans, which he has done before, which is really fun. And that's kind of much more loose and all that stuff. It's, so it's kind of just figuring out, I mean, Conan's a busy guy, so it's also like, trying to get these shoots and everything going can be a lot, but
but every time you do, I
do definitely want to do a VR thing.
Yeah.
Whereas I tell you, well, the evolution of Clueless Gamer, right? And so I do want to hit. VR is extremely cool and moving very quickly, and that's and so I do want to kind of do. I would like to try some of that, as well as do some indie games, and as well as try to do a little more multiplayer stuff would be fun too.
For sure.
But yeah, there's only so many hours in the day,
You talk about indie games, like the E3 video where he found Hohokum, I think on PS4. Like, that was such a splash. And I don't know if you're as tuned in, but, like, Sony was just losing its mind. They were so happy about that clip. And the Hohokum developers we even talked to about it when we were at their studio visiting a while back. Like, people really enjoy it when Conan finally interacts with their game. It's a real thrill for everybody.
Yes, and that's the thing is, like, I really want to put the spotlight on, because it's a lot to make a game, and it's a lot of, like, blood, sweat, and tears, especially if you're an indie guy and or girl or indie person. So again, it's like being this having this giant flashlight to put on people and spotlight games. It's like it's this mix of, like, I really want, if a lot of people, like, play the new Assassin's Creed, I'm like, okay, but I also want to, there's not as many people saying play Gang Beasts, but I think it's also important for him to play these other games too. I mean, to kind of, and that's kind of always the struggle. It's kind of like, trying to get to everybody and play as many games, as well as, at the end of the day, we just want it to be a funny piece. So, making a good piece.
But in that mix, then there has to be publishers. Like, are they writing a check? What is the business side of this whole thing?
luckily I'm terrible with money, so I don't deal with any of that.
Okay.
So I really have no idea, but we've got a great team who deals with all that stuff. So I'm completely insulated from that, which is great. Because luckily, I've never had an allowance. I never had a paper route. I don't know how money works in a lot of ways. I'll go up to Starbucks and just try to give them like stones and sticks and leaves. And they're like, well, this isn't payment. I'm like, I don't know what that is. So,
okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. Well, cool. Anything else you want to plug or anything you want to lay out there for the future of Clueless Gamer?
No, I mean, I'm so happy people love Clueless Gamer. I mean, it makes me really excited that we hit a chord with people, and I love that people love it. Please tweet at us your suggestions, #Clueless Gamer, because I do look at almost everything. I am very much plugged into the net. You can't see it, but I have a matrixy thing in the back of my mind. But yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to be able to have this platform to shed the light on games, both big and small. And again, we do Stream Coco. We do every Monday at noon, twitch.tv/Team Coco and youtube.com/Team Coco. We play games with fans. And so definitely tune into that. It's noon Pacific time. And we've got a lot of great stuff coming up, which is fun. And also I do Twitch on my own, twitch.tv/Aaron Bleyaert, which is really fun. So it's always cool to see fans in there as well. But yeah, I mean, it's a really exciting time. And, I think that the potential for video games is just reaching the point where people are realizing what a powerful storytelling tool it is. And I think it's a medium that is going to transcend really the idea of games at all.
Sure. And Conan O'Brien's helping to do that in his weird, twisted way.
I hope that's true, and bring it to mainstream. I really hope that's true, and really gives legitimacy and to an industry which absolutely deserves it, and is full of people who are working hard and making great stuff. So
awesome. Well, cool. Aaron, thank you so much for your time. Keep doing the Lord's work over there.
Yeah, thank you very much, Aaron.
Appreciate your time, man. And thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Game Informer Show. Be sure to tune in next week, and we'll have a new episode waiting for you. See ya.